It's a small world here in Montreal, in the publishing world. Everybody seems to know everybody or somebody close to. Yeah. And we're always discovering new people because there's people hiding in the woods. It's crazy. There's like some really best-selling children's book creators that are out in the countryside and you never heard of them. I know of them, but you didn't realize they're right next door.
I don't know if you want to promote the idea. I think everybody already believes that there's a lot of Canadians hiding out in the woods, and then you're just at it.
It's time for Gavin Doodle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gavin Doodle. It is a Thursday night, and we have a special guest on. We have Julien Chung is going to be joining us. Julien is... Oh, let me watch my feed here. Julien is known for a variety of different books, but we have a couple of them here to sort of poke through, like Becoming Blue. Let me open this one up for you. Julien has a background in design, and clearly it sort of shows up in the type of work that he does, that there's like a crispness to everything that he does. He, in particular, if you go look at his website, go look at his work, you'll see all sorts of styles of illustration, but the thing that's like the key factor in all of it, in my mind, is always I always use the word efficiency, because I think the word simple, I think some people will misconstrue it and it will become a negative, but efficiency is probably a better word that people kind of understand, that there's a level of understanding when and where to add and take away. And so in books like Becoming Blue, or he's also been working on the Chicka Chicka series that continues to go on. So stuff like Chicka Chicka I Love Mom, which of course is appropriate for today's day and age, as we're about to hit that time frame. But again, shape language is the star in these. And so I'm excited to have him on, because I'm interested to see what kind of approach he takes, because I know that he works with a variety of materials and works digitally and works traditionally, and I'm going to be interested to sort of see what kind of approach we're going to have for the day. Tonight I'm going to be working on, you can probably see them here, there's the Salute show at Nucleus Portland, that I'm participating in, and so I'm going to be working on, I started 2 today, and I'm going to do the other 4. It's a little odd for me to do these at night, but I think that, or during these shows, but it'll be fun to sort of get these other ones, like a frog and a rhino and a spider and a slug. And so I'm going to let our special guest in. I'm going to turn it to me first. Let's get that on my face. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? So let me just make sure my feed is good. Whoa, no, I didn't mean to accidentally try to write myself a comment here. There we go. Okay, so let me let our special guest in, and we will get going for the night. Volume is up, and it is.
All right.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
We
Let me
got.
just push this down a little bit.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we would be able to see the thoughts come out of your head as you were
Yeah.
you were going, but thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Woo! There we go. Well, that's going to happen a few times. I got an unstable setup here.
Oh, okay. No worries.
But
No worries. So we're big fans, of course, in the house, and I'm especially a big fan coming from a design background. I went to grad school for basically visual design, and so when I see people that like understand how to use type and understand how to use sort of crisp shape language and things of the sort, it always gets me excited. And so I've always sort of loved your work, and I know that you do have a background in design of some sort, correct?
oh, you bet. I'm a trained graphic designer. I've practiced graphic design for over 35 years. Yeah, so it's always been my first go-to. When I was a kid, I was the one that was doing all the greeting cards for the family. So yeah, I would say design is really ingrained.
Yeah.
When I went to university, I had to I did like the illustration class, and the illustration track, but we had to pick. It was either graphic design or illustration.
Yep.
And yeah, so I went for graphic design because that's where the jobs were and where it was, yeah, where the money was. And illustration hasn't really changed in all these years in terms of career, as far as I've seen.
Yeah.
Still freelancing mostly, and still,
Now you got your start in like at a design studio or why does a newspaper come to mind?
Oh yeah, because I did start with corporate design studios. At the time, you only had two places you could work, or three places. You could work at an ad agency, you could work at a corporate design studio and do logo types and stuff like that, and brochures, or you could work in-house for, let's say, an insurance company. You could do their newsletters and stuff like that. So those were the three choices at that time. We're talking about the early 80s. So I went for I liked the corporate design studios because they were the most, well, I wasn't really I don't have an advertising mindset for one, but I do enjoy graphic design, and, and doing logos was my best thing. That was my thing. So I did that for 3 or 4 years here in Montreal. And there weren't that many design studios, and there weren't that many graphic designers out there. There was a whole lot that came in, but that's the next generation. I think in the 90s, suddenly we had a lot of schools producing graphic designers and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, so I started there.
Now,
yeah.
Oh, go. I want to hear. I always ask people to tell us sort of who you are and what you do.
Okay.
And I've already jumped in a little bit and got into a little bit of that.
Okay,
but
no
you give us a sense of where you are now and what you're doing now.
Okay, what am I now? I'm a grandfather now. I'm retired. Yeah. This what you're looking at is my last career, I think.
Okay.
I'm retired from my regular day job, where I had spent like 30 years at a newspaper called La Presse. It's the French language daily in Montreal, in Quebec. It's considered they like to consider themselves as the national daily newspaper. It's a general public one. It's not too intellectual, but it's not a tabloid. It's really middle of the road, covers all the subjects. And that was a lot of fun to work for, because that was like at the newspaper, it was quite collegiate. It's like being at university or at college still, because everyone was really relaxed, even despite having, daily deadlines and dealing with a lot of serious subjects. But the general atmosphere was one of, we had a lot of fun doing a lot of covering a lot of different subjects and stuff like that.
It sounds so different from what I see in movies, where it's always like, we got to get this in, the deadline, we got to get it to print, etc. And obviously that's like a lot of times it's the reporters and things of the sort, not necessarily the designers. The designers need their time to go and populate and whatnot. But it's nice to hear that it's not all rushing around like they project on the entertainment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's probably the journalists that have the most pressure, because they do have to get stories out.
Yeah.
And in the old days, there were like set deadlines. 7 o'clock was, I don't know, lifestyle, and at 9 o'clock it was politics, and at 12 o'clock was hockey. The sports people had to get their stuff in. Yeah. Well, that was in the days of paper and printing.
Yeah.
We were the first newspaper in North America to go paperless. We cut paper. We were the first ones to go 100% electronic.
Interesting.
And we had developed our own software. Well, we built our software on top of an American software. I don't remember the name of the company. And we built on that. And we developed the first tablet newspaper that you could have on an iPad.
Interesting. Okay.
It was a lot of fun. We had trucks with teams going out all over the province, showing people this new thing, how to use a tablet, and how to get, because people didn't know what the iPad was, and people didn't know how to use a tablet, and they didn't know how to navigate or scroll down or all that kind of stuff. And today, the people that use a tablet are grandparents mostly.
Yeah. So now you shifted though in the last what?
Yeah, I would say about 10, 12 years now in picture books.
Okay.
Previous to picture books, I was in art licensing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
for
that.
about, yeah, yeah. Well, if you look under Google Images under my name, you'll see a whole lot of stuff like beer glasses, suitcases,
Okay.
stuff like that. It's because in the newspaper business, all of us had sidelines in the creative department because in newspaper business, it can get repetitive. You're dealing with the same size paper,
Yeah,
or in
yeah,
the tablet, you're dealing with the same size tablet, and you have to learn how to, you have to keep your creative juices going after years of doing this. And after years of doing, I've done 15, 20 years of Christmas specials, for instance, the Christmas gift section.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's,
so after a while, you have to try and to recharge your creative juices. And doing little stuff, little projects on the side was one way of doing it for me. Other ones, they did paintings at home, but a number of them were freelancing on the side a little bit.
and so now you're 12 years deep into kidlit,
Yeah,
into picture books, and it seems to be going strong. Is there? I mean, you said it was the last job or the last
last career.
career. Yeah, but I imagine they will continue to flow along the lines going down the way. But tonight we're gonna sketch, we're gonna doodle, we're gonna do all that kind of stuff. The conversation. I know you have a limited amount of time, if I remember correctly, and I want to be respectful of the time. And so, at any point you need to jump or the conversation, we need to redirect it or anything. Holler. There's no challenge there. This is pretty casual across the board. But I do need to know two things before we jump into making tonight. And the
Right.
first one is, what are you going to make? And then the follow up is, what are you going to make it with?
Okay. Well, for tonight, I thought I would do something that would be very useful for me, and you probably could help me with this while we're discussing this. Anyway, you know all about animals and underpants, right?
I do. Sure.
Whoops. Yeah. You say that, say underwear, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the whole thing goes.
The world
Yeah,
turns
well,
upside down.
my agent occasionally sends me manuscripts to keep me going. And he sent me one recently, said, oh, why don't you try this? And it's called, Do Polar Bears Wear Underwear?
Mm.
And he wants to see kind of my approach, but also kind of something a little different. I think he sold the author on my graphic style,
Yeah.
and I already submitted stuff with a more sketchy style, and he said, "Nah, it's got to come back to your graphic style." But nevertheless, my work is mostly idea driven. I don't spend. I have a technique, but it's not the thing that really drives me or drives my work. It's really ideas and concepts. And such as graphic design. Graphic design is the same thing. When you have a project,
It
it's
goes through.
not, yeah, graphic design for me is not usually about my style, imposing my style or vision, but imposing a certain way of thinking,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so illustration is the same thing. It's an extension of that. So yeah, and so I'm going to be doing that, and I'm probably going to ask you about this underwear and animals question, because I like drawing animals, and these are animals with underwear, but not just underwear. There's do elephants wear pants? Okay, that's one. Polar bears and underwear, and the other one is elephants wear pants. So there's like little prompts. We'll see how that goes. We'll see
The
if you can help me out at any
yeah.
point.
The challenge that I see with the polar bear one is I'm so used to underwear, like the classic underwear is the tighty whitey,
Hmm.
like briefs, but you have a white animal,
Yeah,
and
you
so
do.
like make it stand out. So you have to go into like a different color, but it's got to look, I don't know how many times you've drawn underwear, but figuring out, especially on briefs, the seams are harder than what you think. I have to always reference to make sure that I get them right. But uh,
Yeah,
uh,
I do. I really like your artwork, by the way. It's really a lot of fun.
thank you very much.
Um,
Uh,
I try to keep things relatively simple. In 365, how to count your year, the author said to me, well, you got to draw 365 kids jumping around in 365 different kinds of underwear. And
you've done how many so far? Yeah,
I did three.
yeah, yeah. There you
Three.
go.
I'm not really a pattern designer, and I'm not but I found a shortcut basically.
Yeah.
And I can show you that later if you want. But yeah, I found a shortcut and simplified it down to thing. It still works.
Okay. Okay.
Still
I'm
works.
excited
So
to see the shortcut because it can definitely help me long term. What are you going to be making with tonight though? That's
okay,
the other
tonight
question.
I'm going to be going back to when I was a kid, and I'm going to be using markers.
Oh, really? Okay. What are
And for this occasion, I bought especially a kit of 120 markers,
are
which
those
was,
Copic or what? What are they?
oh, these are a local art store called Dessert. They make their own in-house, it's not in-house markers,
Yeah.
but their own branding.
Okay. Alcohol
Um,
based, I assume.
yeah, how's that? Yeah, they are, yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't get it. These are like, it's like comes in this thing like this.
Whoa. Whoa.
It's the student box. Because if you want to get it for professional level markers, you get for that the same money I paid 120, you get like 20.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm going, oh, and I said to the salesperson, what's the difference? And she didn't know really what the difference. Oh, yeah, the pens are not exactly the same plastic,
That
exterior.
I've
Okay.
I've known people to get the refill cartridges and put them in a different marker. So it's just the
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like the refill is the cheap stuff. So
Yeah,
they bought
yeah.
it when it's expensive and just refill it with the cheap. Um, so tonight we're gonna make and I have questions loaded up for you. But
Great.
again, if you have questions, we can just sort of go back and forth. And I want to make sure that that we're mindful of your time because I know that
Okay.
you did have a limited time frame. So at any point, again, just holler, and we'll get back to our faces for a second and send you off in style. But why don't we switch to our down shoots and we just jump into it?
Okay. So I'm going to turn the phone around.
Yeah,
Okay. Let me see. Oh, yeah, there it is. Boom,
So I have a feed
boom.
up here that sort of I can track what people are saying, but it does have a
Right.
delay, so it'll take a second for that kind of stuff to show up. But
Okay.
so I can sort of see what your feed looks like and where things land visually for us. But
Okay.
well, while
Good.
you get set up, I'm going to throw a softball question at you,
Sure thing. Shoot.
and I want to hear a little bit about the beginning of your artistic career, your literature career. I mean, I know as a little kid, I saw on your website, I think it was, I don't even know how to say it, basic, or I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Um,
This is Munich. I have This is Munich. This
oh,
is
yeah.
all
Sassy.
that stuff in the background here myself because I love them.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about sort of childhood and art making and sort of where that all came from.
Okay. Well, as often is the case, my parents were involved in the art. My mother was an artist, stay-at-home mom, but she was trained as as a graphic designer a little bit I guess in the 1940s.
Okay.
She had even her claim to fame is she had a class with one of the Bauhaus professors, and
Oh, okay.
she came from a very traditional painting background, almost folk artish, and then she got flipped right into modern, contemporary at that time, whatever, modern design, and so she had mixed these two styles for the rest of her life. So she always had a going back and forth between folk art and then Bauhaus modern design, and she did a lot of projects at home. She started with lino cuts, and she did in the 70s. She did batiks and tie dyes, and then she got into calligraphy in the 80s and 90s, and then rubber art, stamping with rubber with eraser stamping, stuff like that. So she got her kids involved, me and my brother, younger brother. We did a lot of art projects in the house. I think we were the first kids to have felt tip markers on the block. That's, yeah.
Okay.
They were.
That's something that I guess generationally, or I'm not sure what, but I don't remember kids running up and down the street going, "I got felt tips." But
But yeah, because otherwise we were using pastels at that time, pastels and not much pencil crayons, believe it or not. But
yeah.
yeah, I had kits and kits of markers. So I used to draw superheroes, and Snoopy and Peanuts were a big one. I'd copy them a lot. And then I do my own thing. At that time, it was a lot of pirates, ships, fortresses, stuff like that. The other interesting thing is my mother had she had a children's book collection. Now I don't know why really, but she liked children's books. And they loved Japanese art, so they had Japanese picture books for kids. And then because my mother was German, of Austrian descent, she had a book of Grimm's fairy tales, which were absolutely scary and gruesome and dark, illustration-wise. And she also had the classic German book called Stuhlpeter, which is still popular in Germany. It was the first picture book in Europe for kids.
Was that?
And it was, yeah, Stuhlpeter.
Fingernails?
Yes, they were
Yeah, I
burning,
know the one.
cutting off fingers and burning
Yeah,
things. And yeah, so that was pretty traumatic too, because there was like,
it sure is.
they
It's
came
a,
after the kid with scissors and cut his thumbs off, and there's blood spurting all over the place. I'm going, oh my gosh.
with
Uh,
with the picture books that your mom had, was that stuff that was distinctly hers, or was that something that was, um, you know, something that you were read and sort of just became her collection after the fact? Like,
no, they were hers.
okay, okay,
Definitely hers, yeah. I was the one that was reading books. To my little brother, we read. She encouraged reading, so she bought all. The Scholastic book clubs came. They
yep,
existed back then. We're talking about in the '60s and '70s. They were around, and they would get the brochures, and I would buy all the books of the whole catalog. I was the only kid that went home with 20 books and read them out over and over. Oh, Big Red Dog, all the classics.
yep.
Yeah, so that was our beginning of reading. My mother had her own collection. My mother was doing art. My dad was a civil engineer. He was designing bridges, but he had a sideline. He loved Scandinavian furniture. So our house was not folkloric at all. It was all Scandinavian furniture.
This is
Yeah.
pre-IKEA. Yeah, this is
Well, yeah, no, it's yeah, I tell you, and I still have some of those pieces from the house. And you just can't beat them. The joints in the furniture are like, you'd pay thousands of dollars to have somebody do the joints made by hand like that.
yeah,
It's like really, and you can get these vintage pieces at antique stores, and they cost the same. I got my pieces, big shelving unit costs the same as buying an IKEA unit. But the unit I bought has already been around for 50 years, and it still will be good for another 50 years. It's so solid.
and is it out of curiosity? Is it solid wood or is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, see that's
teak. Yeah.
yeah, old furniture. We have a bunch of like antiques in our house that have been passed down through the family. Now they're much old. Like they're not I mean, these are probably from the 1800s. Some of them
Oh,
or
yeah. Okay.
1900s. But they are like solid. They are not going to fall apart. Uh,
No.
and I'm not saying IKEA furniture falls apart right now, but it's not solid
No,
half of it. So it's hearing that
no.
you got the real deal furniture is good.
Absolutely. And surprisingly enough, that furniture, along with Sassek's books, has influenced my start in illustration about 25 years ago. And really, I would say that's where I started from. And I was lucky that mid-century modern was around 10 years ago. So all my illustrations sort of come that kind of background. People do say that I have some kind of vintage vibe sometimes
Yeah.
in the artwork. Well, that's where it comes from. That comes from my appreciation of European design at that time, and poster art from France, advertising posters, and also Paul Rand, the great American graphic designer,
We just
stuff
got
like that.
a Paul Rand picture book, I think.
Yeah.
I forget what it's
Which
called.
one?
I don't remember. We got it at a sale
Yeah.
over the weekend, and it's sitting upstairs, so I can't run up there and grab it easily. But um,
But well, you're lucky. I got a couple too, and you can't hardly get them anymore. You have to
yeah,
pick them up when you see them.
it was a old library copy, so it's not It's not brand
Yeah.
new. When I saw it, and I was like,
It's
Paul,
perfect.
I didn't know that Paul Rand did picture books at the time, and so when
Oh
I saw that,
yeah.
I was like, that can't be right, and had to backtrack a little and figure out what I was looking at. But was the with the implementation of the idea of design and furniture design and SASIC and stuff like that. Was that something that you tried to put in your work
Ah,
on a regular basis? Like, was it something that you cognitively tried to address in your work, or was that something that sort of came about because just unconsciously it showed up because of your history and um, your upbringing?
yeah, that's a great question. I would say it came sort of organically. I did not really sit down to draw like Sasek. I just look a lot. I've read a lot of books and looked at a lot of books, and it just showed up. It showed up naturally. I've been working. My main inspirations in design have been poster art. That was the main thing, and the idea of using, and not the idea, but the approach of ideas and concepts. That all comes from that one book I picked up in college that I read like 50 times, and that was Milton Glazer's book, his first book about his work,
Yep.
and he talked about how he showed how the ideas that he had, and then he explained them, and then he distilled it all down into one impactful image, and that's where it all comes from. I really love that. I got into it. I read that 50 times. I told my parents I want to be a graphic designer, and of course they flipped out because that was not a career back then.
Yeah.
That was that was something artsy fartsy. My dad, who loved design and everything, said, "Why don't you become an accountant?" uh, which is also kind of classic, a classic career move, a suggestion at that point. You want to be an artist, and your parents says, "No, no, go be an accountant." I
Yeah.
guess he figured I couldn't be really an engineer. I didn't have the
But
math skills for that. So
your mother had art in her. Like, I'm surprised
yeah,
that there's a disconnect from your mom making art to the you wanting to go into the arts.
well, it was to make money, to make a living from it. My mother never made a living from it.
Oh, okay.
She was stay at home. So for I guess for her and maybe for my father too, it was like a serious hobby because she did it like 80% of time. Lunch at home. Came home for lunch from school. We were at a walking distance. I would get lunch like 10 minutes before I had to return back to school because she was doing some kind of art project. So
Okay. Okay. That makes
so
more
we're
sense.
serious. Yeah.
I was like, man, that's odd that they would just say no. Um, was with the implementing of sort of design and the historical reference points that you pull from, is that something that sort of maintained itself in your design work but
Yep.
not in the illustration? Did the illustration, like, I mean, clearly I see that there is a design element in the illustration work that you do, but
Right.
I'm wondering, like, was it more pronounced in the design stuff, or is that something that sort of has crossed over in some fashion?
Yeah. Well, definitely my illustration work is design based. My whole approach in my head is like a graphic designer. I think like a graphic designer, um, which is which is why I don't do these big, large scenes with different perspectives and stuff like that. It's really two-dimensional. It's pretty much in your face. It's like poster art. Um, my design work per se, in terms of the corporate design, like I said earlier, I loved logo types. That was my best thing. That was what I was really good at. And the logo types, as you know, are you have to distill a message down into very simple shapes.
Yep.
And at that point, they have to be very simple shapes, but when you try to bring some kind of originality to the shape. My first employer, who was my mentor, was a pioneer in graphic design in Canada. He did a lot of the very important logotypes in the city, the police department, the cultural centers. He was well known for that. So I learned a lot from him, how to distill a message down into a single little thing. Oh, I have to say, I do love postage stamps. Um,
Okay, that makes sense. That tracks.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I still have my collection of postage stamps from the 70s when I was a teenager. I would spend all my pocket money from delivering newspapers. See, I was delivering newspapers at that point, um, not thinking that I would actually work at a newspaper. And so I collected stamps, and all my collections were based on the design of the stamp. If the image pleased me, if it was like a poster-like image. So you have the same design challenge in this postage stamp as you do in a poster. That
Yeah.
you want to have a single image that has a lot of impact and that you can pass a message through. Except that in postage stamp, of course, you only have like a 1-inch space, and a poster you can do it inside of 24 by 36 inches generally.
Yep.
And it spilled over into my newspaper work, because newspapers, what were they basically at the time? You designed one page, and the page was a large poster size page.
With the stamps, so you
Yeah,
were collecting stamps not because of value or
no,
because of rarity or anything of the sort. It was purely just a design collection
that's
at
right.
that point.
That's right. And then and I still do, if I see them today, I still do collect stamps a lot more rarely, because they're harder to get.
Yeah, no
Um,
one's people aren't using them in the same
no,
capacity they once
no,
were.
you're getting basically sticker books.
Yep.
However, it's the same countries in the 70s that were really designed forward, and they're same countries today. They're still designed forward. Um, like the UK is a big one. Switzerland is a good one. The US is a good one. Um, and they all have their different styles. You can tell this is an American stamp. You can tell this is from Great Britain. Well, because you have the king's profile on the stamp in the corner. So there's all these little details. And what I loved about British stamps is that they used illustrations, and they
Yeah.
used a lot of children's book illustrations too. I mean, that had that kind of vibe. So that was, I was surrounded by that for a long time. Yeah,
In the US, I know that they have like a lot of kid related things like Sesame Street and stuff like
yeah,
that, but every once in a while they will have a collection that will be uh, a kidlit illustrator or someone that like a Maurice Sendak or something of the sort.
yeah,
But again, I'm not using stamps to really pay attention to it, and then I find out
no,
after the fact that they've come and
yeah,
gone, and
yeah,
it's hard to get them at that point. Um,
yeah. True, true.
so tell me a little bit about jumping into the kidlit arena. I mean, obviously
Okay,
you're coming from that design background. What was the impetus to sort of jump into that world?
okay, that's a good one too, because I don't know if you're 40 years old yet,
I am
but
I am almost 50 at this point,
oh,
so
you're almost 50. Okay, oh, you look really young.
thank you.
Good for you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Lucky Mrs. Hoffman.
yeah.
All right.
Oh, she's the same age, so she's yeah. We
Yeah, good.
yeah we try to I don't know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say like we try to watch our intake, but that's not true. Um, but anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Um, I got sidetracked. What was this question again? It was,
Oh, the question uh, was the impetus to jump into the kidlit world.
oh, yes, that's right. Because that started back when I mentioned earlier that being in the newspaper business, you're designing on the same size page. And after a while, you were doing the same, same subjects would come around every year, like my Christmas specials. I did those for 15, 20 years in a row.
Yeah.
Other designers would have other specialties. Some would like sports, and some would like politics. Some would like to do infographics. So we all did that kind of stuff. But when I turned 40, I had kind of like a midlife crisis creatively. I went to get outside help. I went to a career specialist, someone who could help me decide whether I wanted to stay in the newspaper business whether or do something else, and what would I want to do if it was something else. So I went through like 10 weeks of sessions. It was really like therapy. She would ask a lot of questions, and I'd have to go home and fill out a lot of forms and do a lot of thinking, and then
Yeah.
talk to my friends and colleagues and stuff like that. So I came out with a 20-page report at the end, which basically said, oh, well, you know what, Julian doesn't want to. I was the art director at that point for the newspaper, managing 25 people, the photo department, the technicians, and the graphic designers. And I wanted to step down and do something else. So the conclusion was, one, well, stay at the newspaper because you're not so good at freelancing. Being financially insecure was not a good thing for me. That would really stress me out. So, and in truth, I only did, I think in my whole life, I did like 3 weeks of, well, maybe 3 months of freelancing between jobs. That's the only freelancing I've done. I've always been employed by someone else.
Hmm.
And the newspaper, like I said, was a lot of fun because of a variety of subjects, even though it was the same format, because of the atmosphere, because you always were feeling like you were in the thick of things. You're in the news cycle. You knew what was going on in the world. You know what was going
Yeah.
on in science, in cooking, in design, in fashion, whatever, sports, business. So that had all my bases covered. And she said, well, you should be an entrepreneur. That means you stay inside the company and find projects inside the company that would interest you and develop specialties and so on, which is so that was one thing. I stayed with La Presse, and I stayed with them right till the end of my career. So I ended up being there 35 years and really not being bored at all at really any point, and going through a lot of technological changes as well.
Did,
And the other thing is the other part of the report was, well, what do you want to do that will keep you interested? And that was to uh, work in small teams on projects that you could hold in your hand,
okay.
which was really specific, but it means that, oh yeah, I'm not a guy that's going to do murals necessarily or work on buildings or I'd be a lousy architect because that takes like 10 years to get a
Yeah.
building done. I need to do it like now, and work in small teams. So work with, and it has an art director, maybe another designer or a client, but not five. I don't want to go into committee meetings with 10 people, 20 people. I have to go, try and discuss things with a lot of different marketing department, with the advertising department, with the all the other departments that could be involved in a project. And the idea that it was small meant could be an object, could be a book. So we started, I did start then at that time with the idea of doing books, but I didn't know where to start and how to get involved. And I started with doing objects instead. I got involved illustrating for companies that would put my characters on their products.
Okay.
And that was art licensing before it became a big thing among illustrators like today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just at the beginning. And so I did that for about 10 years, till about 2013. I had, because I was a unionized at the newspaper, so I was not really permitted to work locally because that could be in conflict of interest with the advertisers that advertised in their newspaper. For instance, if I did an annual report for Air Canada, well, if we did an article saying that Air Canada, their planes were had mechanical problems and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that would put me in a kind of a bad position of where I could influence the article maybe. So I went outside of the country, just to be clear of that clause in the union thing. I ended up having contracts in Japan, in Korea, in Germany, in Spain,
Now,
some in the States.
was this something that you were just doing on your own, like without an agent or anything, or was this something that you had a
Yeah.
team helping you?
I did both. I started off on my own. I did say I had a few local clients, very small businesses that were hiring local artists to do like wall stickers at that time that could for home decor, stuff like that, but
Yeah.
very small. To go overseas, I did use an agent, so I shopped around for agents at the same time, and found an agent in Japan. We talked about for a whole year before I actually signed on. And then I had a good run with him for about 3 or 4 years where he was able to really exploit my portfolio and get a number of projects for me. I had ski toques, winter hats I
Yep.
had with my name on them, just my name, no design on them at all. And this is an excellent designer from North America, an award-winning designer. And the company just put my name on their toques, and that's it. And they had a little tag with maybe my photo on it, but there was no real graphic design involved there, or even character design at that point. There was another Japanese company that made a whole catalog with my animal designs, and I had like over 200 products with them, including chocolates, keychains, and some kind of anti-hangover powder that they use in Japan. So they
Okay.
got, yeah, yeah, it was really weird. The Asian market is quite different, so they come up with, they have really different products. And I actually had a businessman in Seoul, Korea, South Korea, who bought all my designs, and he opened up a store in the fancy part of in Gangnam, in a fancy mall, and for about 2 years he had a store with just my stuff in it, on t-shirts, on suitcases, on cushions, anything that he could come up with he was selling in that. He called it a gallery boutique.
Did you get
um,
any of the products yourself? Like, did you get?
oh yeah, yeah. My agent, when I met him in Las Vegas, because that's where the biggest trade show is for art licensing, he
Yeah.
he brought over two suitcases of stuff. Yeah, and then after a while, he starts sending me stuff too. Yeah, I ended up with a lot of samples. Yep.
Interesting. This so far out of my my element, that idea of like products with my name on it, and especially like it sounds like it wasn't. It, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like it wasn't your goal to get your name on products like in that same.
Oh yeah, no, as a brand, no,
Yeah.
no, I wasn't thinking. I was thinking just getting my animals on products. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Um,
But it wasn't like
and
a Julien Chung brand. That's a
oh,
whole.
no, yeah, actually, I did want the brand. In that case, yes,
Oh, okay,
you're
okay,
right. I was going for the brand. I'm not interested in being anonymous,
okay.
because that's another aspect of art licensing, is that some companies will use your art but won't give you, I mean, they'll pay you obviously, but don't necessarily credit you. And I think that was always an important part of my career. My interest in projects is if I could be recognized for them. So um, and that extends into children's books too. So I've done a couple of books where the illustrator's name is not even on the cover. So
Yep,
that was not as satisfying as you know, being the only name on the cover, for instance.
yep. That makes sense. The I can
Well,
I can
it's
I can understand the idea of not having your name being maybe not necessarily disheartening, but a little bit shocking that you're not getting the same credit that's there.
well, as other, yeah.
Yeah. Is there
So
thinking about the sort of the idea of the brand side of it? One of the things, and you're going to probably know this better than a lot of the folks that I've had on here, but the idea of sort of brand management,
yeah,
and sort of knowing your brand, knowing how to package your brand up. So, obviously
yep,
like logos and that stuff, but obviously like color choices and that side of it. I'm wondering how that plays into when you get into kidlit, when, books are not always like, if your style is changing for the book
yeah,
in a way,
yeah. And
and you're changing like
and that is my case. I do not have an identify. I don't think so, but some people say you do a little bit. But I really don't have a distinct fixed style that I've been using for years and years and years. So the challenge in the last years of has been how to market myself to publishers who probably art directors are probably buying on the basis of an art style. And I'm trying to sell them on something else because every book I do is a slightly different style. I start the research over from scratch almost, except for the Chica books, of course. That's working within a brand. That's a whole other animal.
Yeah, you have to maintain that. Whether you like
Yeah.
it or not, you have to maintain. Yeah.
Well, yes, but the thing is, that's where the publisher and the editor are really smart. They found someone who is really interested in that brand. It was, and the reason is because I was a fan of the original artist,
Yep.
Lois Ehlert,
Yep.
in the '90s when she was doing paper cutouts and die cut books. Because Lois Ehlert was a graphic designer herself. That was
Yep.
her background,
Yep.
and so it just was like, I guess, luck, coincidence that I ended up with her editor.
When you got offered those books,
Yeah.
was that something that, were you gunning for those? Was that something that was like, oh, they're planning on doing this, I heard through the grapevine and I want to get my name out there? Or was that something that sort of fell in your lap? How did that come to be?
Yeah, I would say you might have noticed that I haven't worked with a whole lot of US publishers. I've been working mostly with Beach Lane.
Okay.
And that's because of the editor, Alan Johnston. She hired me for my first book with them. And then she's been keeping me very busy ever since. I haven't had time to shop other publishers, really, even though I've been to, met with other art directors and editors in New York, for instance. I just haven't had time because she's been keeping me busy. She's offering one contract after another contract after another contract. So when I officially retired, and it was probably by coincidence, I officially retired. Lois Ehlert had passed away already for about 2 years. And then Alan Johnston came up to me and said, look, I got this manuscript in my drawer. Would you be interested in doing it? And it was Chica Chica Ho Ho Ho, which apparently she had for a certain number of years, like almost over 5 years that was already ready for over 5 years. And that I heard that even Lois Ehlert had refused to do. She wasn't interested in redoing the Chica Chica stuff. Now, she was probably in her late 70s at that time when that book was offered. She passed away. I was on board with Beach Lane, and I had already when I signed up with Beach Lane, I had already told Alan that I was a big fan of Lois Ehlert. And that's how I identified my style to fit in with Beach Lane. I said, look, I have a graphic style, but I like paper cutouts. My big thing also is silkscreen printing, flat color, and we took it from there. The fun part was that I haven't stopped doing Chica books since I retired, and 2 weeks later they offered me this Chica book contract. And then my agent said, wait, let's see what we can do. And then my agent's really smart. He's an ex-VP. I don't remember if Random House or which one of the big four.
Okay.
And he and the Alan Johnson sat down and they discussed the possibility of relaunching the line of Chica books. I mean, not just one. Why don't we do two? Why don't we do three or four? And then he came back to me and said, Julien, sit down. I know. You know what? Why don't you do this? Why don't you try, we're going to pitch Beach Lane books on a collection of books. One on Christmas, one on Halloween. We sat down, we brainstormed what we would do. We came up with four concepts that I had to do initial mock-ups on my own. That means it wasn't being paid for. It was just entirely, I don't know what you call it, but it wasn't being, spec work, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But it worked. Alan Johnston was convinced. Of course, before Alan Johnston offered me Chica Ho Ho Ho, I had already done at least one, two. Yeah, I already had done Vroom Vroom and Becoming Blue. I'm trying to think if there was a third one. I already at least done 2 books with her, so she knew how I worked, and she was happy with that. with my process. So yeah, and she sold it up. She had to go and deal with the committees, or she dealt with her boss, who's vice president of children's publishing, and he was really keen on relaunching the Chica Chica line. And so they offered me a multi-book contract, and I had to do the graphic guide, if you can do that. So they pulled on my licensing experience, my graphic design experience, and also my picture book experience.
Yeah.
And we developed a whole program and updated the branding a bit. So that's what they're using now for some. I'm not doing all the Chica books. I'm doing the Chica picture books with Beach Lane, but little Simon is doing the novelty books and the more didactic books. Except for the 3 books that you've seen already. You have in your hand I Love You.
Yep.
Those are by Little Simon, but that was just to get the ball rolling. So they have another in-house illustrator, I believe, who's doing the rest of those. While I am trying to stay true to Lois Ellert's vision, while slowly bringing in small elements that modernize the book and that are my vision.
Is there a challenge in the sense of, like, do you have to work with her estate or anything to try to?
Nope, no,
No,
no, no, not me. No, I assume that's all being tied up, all being dealt with beforehand with the publisher and her estate.
Okay.
Because it's not only her estate, it's the writer's estate too. And if you notice, it's only my name on the book.
Yeah.
We write as a team. I mean, we come up with ideas as a team. But I'm no way I can't do those rhymes. It's so come up with the plot. We got to decide what tree is it going to be this time, and what and what are those little letters going to do, and what's going to make them fall out of the tree. And then and then I do mock-ups, and I have to do sketches and research, and but what can I say? It's commercially, the books have done really well. There's been 5 New York Times bestsellers out of the 7 books I've worked on, and I'm still under contract to do more. So that's keeping me pretty busy.
Now, has her estate at all reached out about just like praise or anything of the sort, or is that something that is completely?
No. I have a feeling that, I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but if you think about it, a company like that, a publisher, would be in published interest if they bought out the rights.
True.
Yeah, they want to be paying royalties. They've already been paying royalties for 30, maybe not even the full 30 years. Maybe they bought out the rights years ago. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, but that's
rights.
That's a licensing business for you.
Yeah. No, I'm I teach about rights, but it didn't even that didn't connect in my mind for some reason as the same thing with buying out the rights for a full like brand of book like that. With the series at this point, I'm wondering, like, one of the things that's always been a challenge for me, and I don't know how it holds up for you, but is repetition is always a bit challenging. You mentioned it with the newspaper of just like you're doing the same every day, and I wonder, how do you keep that series fun and new? Is there not that it it gets stale and old, but just the idea of each feels fresh to you.
Yes.
Is there a method to that madness to sort of maintain that?
Well, just like I did in newspaper business, I have to take on other projects too. So I have a full book schedule for next year and a year and a half, and I'm shopping for new book projects. That's to keep the creativity going and also keeping things fresh by working in other areas while still in book publishing, still in children's books, by working with different publishers in different types of contexts with different types of stories, and working on my own projects. That will help me keep Chica Chica going too, creatively speaking. Yeah. Because for sure, I mean, the characters are done. I can't really change the characters a whole lot. There's 26 characters. That's a whole lot of number of characters for a picture book. But they have their colors and they have their shapes. And those are going to not change, I don't think, certainly not in the near future. However, the environment can change, the story can be changed, but you know what else can't change? The sequence of the letters can't change. So yeah, I'm working within a fairly strict framework. The letters can't change. That always has to read from A to B, and B said to C, and C said to D. Let's go up
Yeah.
to the top of the tree. And then, and in the illustrations even, the letters have to be in sequence, because this is for little kids who are just starting to learn the alphabet. We want to get them interested in letters, and that they can make, you know, fun things happen with letters. But we also want to show them that, you know, we don't want to confuse them by switching the order around or things like that.
So with you have that series, but then you have all the other books,
Yep.
and lots of stuff sort of going on. And I'm wondering, one of the things that always I have struggled with, and I'm sure there's lots of illustrators that are out there that are eventually listening or are going to tune in later, that the idea of sort of jumping style or jumping around aesthetically on the work and maintaining consistency are, to me, sort of tricky things to navigate. And I'm wondering,
Sure, yeah.
in the sense of the way that you operate and the way that you work, is there some approach, or like, I mean, in the world of animation, it's like, okay, you have character sheets and there's model sheets
Right.
that you actually attend to, and like, does it match? But in kidlit, oftentimes there's not that same thing, and I'm wondering sort of how you deal with that idea of bouncing around. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, as I said before, my selling point to publishers is the way I think, but also it's the way I design my pages. Also, there's sort of a certain consistency from one book to another. I'm not bouncing around that much in the end. I am doing fairly graphic types of compositions. I'm trying to keep them dynamic, interesting. And I'm starting to develop a niche for funny, humorous books. Like Becoming Blue. People are mentioning Becoming Blue. People have also mentioned this book here. Oh, you see this one? This is a dog book.
Yeah.
And it's got basic conversations. So this was my first conversation book. Becoming Blue was done at about the same time. And I'm working on 2 other books with just conversations between characters. And even a local publisher has just approached me this week to do a book, also discussion kind of thing, a very kind of humorous type. So I'm developing that kind of niche as well. It's going to be, so I'm adding that to my list of things that I do, or that I'm getting known for. Humor, graphics. Yeah.
Is there a thing that, like, when people contact you, I mean, speaking about that idea of like adding that to your your arsenal, your toolkit, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
is there something besides, I mean, obviously there's the design element, but are there other things that people tend to sort of come to you for, beyond the idea thing? Like, are people coming to you as like a color expert? Are people coming to you with, I'm wondering sort of about the thought process on sort of your calling card, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, or you can call it my branding.
Yeah, there you go.
I worked with a consultant. I believe in working with consultants since I started in my 40s doing this with this career orientation person. Last year or the year before, I worked with an illustrator, a consultant who helps illustrators better identify themselves and their clients, so as they can rise above the general world of illustration. They become more specific and more precise in what they want to do, more specific in the types of projects they work on. And that's even within one industry. I mean, there's so many of us in the same industry in picture books. How do you, break through? How do you have to develop your personality. Most illustrators will rely on their style. And the really good ones, they rely, on their storytelling abilities. And then how do you differentiate yourself? Because nobody's going to hire me to do flowery fields of flowers or stories, with that kind of imagery. If you look at my website, it's like hard, punchy graphics.
Yeah.
At the end, I can do kind of cartoony kind of graphics too, but with an artistic flair. That's how the latest art director, she approached me this week, said, yeah, we like your work. We've been watching you. You do graphic work, but it's got some kind of art flair to it, something. So it's not just flat work. It's not just cartoon work, but it's got a combination of stuff that makes it interesting for certain types of stories. So that consultant helped me brand my website. I already had a visual brand. That wasn't too much of a problem being a graphic designer. But she helped me with the words. So as you can see, it's very simple words. This is, I work with art directors and editors to produce children's books that have impact or that, and then I name several values that I appreciate that. And I've just added this week humor on my LinkedIn profile as a thing. So I find that important because a lot of illustrators, children's book illustrators, you'll open their page, their web page, and then you'll just have little squares where they have little illustrations. It's okay for an art director to go through, but an editor, they don't. It's better to have some words put in their mouths that you're this type, you do this. You could be specializing mostly. You love doing. I know there's one illustrator that loves doing crowd scenes. That's what she's really good at. Crowd scenes, building scenes, lots of details.
I want no part of that. That's I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound appealing to me at all.
Well, personally, I do not have the patience for that. What I say to people is, don't ask me to draw 200 circles. That'll drive me bananas.
Yeah.
But I'll draw the same circle 200 times. Because I'm kind of a perfectionist sometimes.
Now, wait a second. You mentioned earlier the idea that no one's going to hire you to do a book about flowers or something of the sort. But what if someone came to you with a project that was a book about flowers? Would you tackle that? Would that be something that would be, like sense of, would you say, no, that's not me? Or would you actually come at it and go, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to make this work.
Yeah, it happened. It happened with a French-Canadian publisher, and there was a lot of nature and flowers and stuff, and I sat down and I dealt with it. It turned out to be a very, very graphic book. But in the end, I'm one of the original users of Illustrator. I started when I got out of university, got through a couple of corporate studio jobs. When I started working at the first newspaper, they had the first Macs come in, and we started using Illustrator, the first version. So I've been using Illustrator my whole career from version number 1 right up to the present version. And for me, it's because I love the silkscreen effect, the flat color, but it's also because I like the cut and paste. So if I have to do like 25 leaves, I will not be hand drawing 25 leaves. I'll hand draw 5 leaves and then I'll repeat them like 100 times. In such a way, though, that it's not either not obvious or not boring for the person that's looking at it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
With that idea of the idea of the copy and paste, I'm wondering the something like the Chicka Chicka books. Obviously, there is this like replication of what's already done. But I'm wondering how much of that is like, do you have a library system or something of the sort that you can rely on and come back to later and go, oh, I already have that, that element figured out in some way or put together. And so all I have to do is just copy and paste from this library system. Or are you redrawing everything based on some model sheet?
No, they asked me to do the graphic guide. So I have the whole alphabet with the Pantone colors and the CMYK colors, and the alphabet is there. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
So I use I have it's not really a library thing. I just go back to the older books. We're not up. If we get to a lot of books, maybe I'll need a library. But at this point, books are not repeating themselves that much. Only the letters.
Okay.
So it's everything else has to be rethought. And sometimes we go through a lot of versions for different trees. The Halloween tree, for instance, was a big old tree, but I drew that old tree like 20 times, trying different trees to find one that fit the style that would be interesting with different cropping, and that could move, because you don't want the tree to be static from one page to the other. There's the book that we just, which is on press, which is being printed in China right now as we speak. We've added texture. So I handmade textures to the tree instead of shapes. So that's a new element that we've introduced, which is not, it's not reflective of the original version. So we're going to see how the readers, if they like it, if they care or they don't care. But yeah, it wasn't my idea. I worked very closely with the art director. And the art director and the editor worked very closely together, and they worked very closely with the marketing and promotion and the other editorial teams. So there's a lot of people involved in the production of a Chica Chica book, but I have the fun part, which is I have to come up with the story, and I get to do the layouts, and then I get to work with the art director, who's really cool, because we get along really well. We have the same references, even though he's about 10 years younger than I am. But he loves vintage stuff too, from the 60s and stuff. So we have good chemistry, and we just keep the ball rolling for next, as long as people want to have Chica books, I guess we'll be doing them.
Is there, like, thinking about the legacy of those books? I mean, now your name is attached to it.
Yeah.
Has become sort of, in a way, synonymous with that brand and things of the sort. And I'm wondering, how do you, like, is there a level of, how do I put this? I'm trying to figure out the best way to say that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the readers in general associate the creators with Chica Chica. Because when I was at the ALA, the American Librarians Association, 2 summers ago, not this summer, 2 summers ago in San Diego. And I introduced Chica Chica Ho Ho to all the librarians there, but we only had the dummy. We didn't have the printed book. We only had a printer's proof. They didn't even know who the original creators were.
Oh, wow.
So, but they loved the book, and they were going to buy it for their libraries. So it's just goes to show you that even though my name is associated with it, it's not like Dr. Seuss, which is a person, or Charles Schulz, to name people of that generation, for instance, or Morris Sendak. This is just it's the Chica Chica is what sticks in people's mind, which is fine.
Is there, outside of that book, I'm wondering the idea of, now that, at least within the industry of kidlit, there's like people that know that that you've worked on those, and that you are somewhat associated with those, whether it's your name flashed across the cover or not. But I'm wondering, is there some level of expectation or understanding of who you are and what you do beyond those books? That, like, I'm wondering, how much do people look at that and go like, oh, well, that's your thing, that's it, and that's what you do now, versus look at all the variety that you can do, because you have lots of books that are various and play around with aesthetics and approaches and all sorts of stuff. But I always worry, like, do people essentially pigeonhole you unintentionally with those?
I don't think so. I think publishers and editors understand what's going on. That this is a relaunch. Of an existing series. It's in the history of children's publishing. It's been done before. In Europe, it's been done a lot
Yep.
with the comic books in Europe. Asterix, for instance, being taken over by other people. We're just second generation artists and creators working on a Dr. Seuss, I
Yep.
believe, is now has a collection of books that, oh, and there's a guy that draws exactly like Dr. Seuss draws.
Yep.
And but he does also other stuff. I don't know if he's that associated with it to the point where he can't do anything else or he won't be recognized for anything else. I don't think it's affecting me for anything else. But the other thing I do is I work in different markets. So Chica Chica is essentially an American classic. In Canada, it's less known. It's known, but less
Mm.
known. In French Canada, forget, nobody knows it. In Europe, nobody knows it. So when I shop around for when I network with European editors, it's basically, what's basically fun is I can say, oh, this is a New York Times bestseller. It is kind of a bit of a status thing. It's good for the CV, but it's not going to change an editor's way of looking at what I do. They're going to look at the books I've done, but
Yeah.
they'll know that I'm professional, that I have, I'm
Yeah.
not beginners. I'm not a beginner.
Yeah. The same thing when people like put various awards and whatnot down. It's like we don't need to know
Yeah,
exactly what the piece is, but the fact
right.
that you got into that is, clearly enough of a sign that you are doing something that works.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's what that exactly. Yeah, yeah.
with the, now that you've been sort of in the industry, I know that you said um, that the writing side is not always the um, or is not the easiest of things to do. But I'm wondering, um, since you are sort of writing those books at this point,
Hmm.
in some capacity, is there a move to try to write other picture books that are outside of that series?
Yes, this is my next objective, is to develop my ideas. They don't come as naturally as to some of the other people you've been interviewing over the past months. I always admire those that says, I'm an author illustrator and I'm writing right now, and then I'll be illustrating later. I'm still at the point of where, oh, I'm developing stories. I have ideas, and my agents are there for me to help me, make it presentable in terms of the words and stuff like that. But I still have a long ways to go, I think, because I'm really busy still with Chica Chica and with these other books. I have books in English Canada. I have books in French Canada to do, as well as the Chica Chica books and an additional book for Beach Lane, which is outside of the Chica Chica series. So yeah, and then so between that, I'm trying to I imagine stories and I'm writing them down. I've got lots of notes. Um, I've been presenting some of them. I'm working with other people too. I'm working with one of my best friends here in Montreal. He writes in French. He's had 15 books published in the local market here. So we got together trying to push a story about, involving grandfathers, because we were both the young grandfathers. We're not the grandfathers with white hair and a cane at this point,
Yeah,
or a
yeah.
walking stick.
Someday,
So
someday, but not yet. You gotta, yeah.
someday, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Hold on 1 second. Lauren, what was that? Oh, my wife is wondering if you can move your camera down or your piece up a little bit. Or
Okay, is that better?
uh, yes, that looks a little bit better on my
Oh
one.
yeah, okay, see, sorry. Good.
No, it's no worries. It's a matter of she's up there watching. I'm having to like look down at my painting, and she's the one that's able to look up and go, "Oh, that's
Yeah,
not on screen," or whatnot. She's the producer. She is
yeah,
the
yeah, that's really good.
yeah.
Very cool,
Um,
very cool.
so tell me a little bit about. I mean, obviously the writing side. You're talking about. You want to do humor books for art wise at least,
Yeah.
but what is the goal in writing? Are there certain types of books that you
Yeah,
you gravitate towards? Is there
yeah.
like an aesthetic or a not a visual aesthetic, but a like literary aesthetic that sort of drives you at this point?
Um, yeah, right now my ideas are kind of a little bit all over the place, but I tend to gravitate towards humor. And humor, and which is what I'm doing with my other publishers, also with characters in conversation, as opposed to doing landscapes and cityscapes and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm heading towards very minimalist cartoonist things, like with these elephants I'm drawing here, for instance.
So
Or
are the
yeah.
elephants right now that you're drawing for a specific book that is going to be released, or is this you sort of testing stuff out?
This is tonight. These elephants are part of a pitch
Okay.
that we're going to do with my agent. Has supplied me with a manuscript by a writer who's also himself an artist, who is in self-illustrated books. So I'm in competition with this guy, but he sort of said, yeah, Julien can try this out. So which is a fun thing. My agent is also developing projects and putting his people together and creating books and then pitching them to publishers. And my agent already knows probably which publisher he wants to pitch it to. So it's a matter of me getting these elephants down now.
Now your agency
Yeah.
that you're with is it ACM?
Yeah, my agent is Rubin Pfeiffer and Amy Thrall Flynn.
That's
Rubin was on his own or mostly on his own for a number of years. And now he has an associate who's Amy Thrall Flynn. So they're both working with me. Amy, I think Rubin works mostly on, he's pulling back a little bit. So he works mostly with people that he really wants to work with and on jobs that he really wants to work with and things that he loves coaching and creating. And I should have to give him a shout out because he found me at SCBWI.
aha.
And that's the key part. That's why I'm in the States. I went to New York to an SCBWI conference. I attended these conferences for 3, 4, 5 years in a row, the portfolio reviews. And he saw me every year at the portfolio review. And he kind of liked my work, and he talked positively about it to other people. And I heard about it through the grapevine. And then after 2 or 3 presentations, he was starting to sell my work to other people, but he wasn't my agent. So he saw something and I was doing very, very graphic, flat graphic artwork
Yeah.
characters that you'll see that I used on products. And it wasn't really your typical children's book. It's not something that you'd actually tell an artist, an illustrator who's going into children's book to do. I just had showed what I had. I didn't have any children. I didn't have any sequential art. I really just had what you see here on the sketch page. I had elephants. And then maybe I had this here is a sneak peek on another book, a Canadian book. It's about a rubber duck.
Hmm.
So you can see this is another way I work. And the rubber duck is having kind of a weird conversation also, an existential kind of situation as well.
And then how did with getting the agent, was that something that he just eventually said, "Hey, I'm signing you," or was that something that you sort of like approached him?
I think he actually came to me and we had a meeting, we had lunch. And then I went home back to Montreal and thought about it. And actually, it scared me. So for a whole year, I didn't sign with him because I was really scared. And we're talking about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm not a kid, and I had been in the industry a long time, but I was still intimidated. Let's put it that way. And I wasn't sure I could deliver, even though I had done some picture books. But could I deliver something that the American public would like? It's different it's a different public in French Canada. It's a different public in Europe. So I had all these kind of questions, but in the end, I said, okay, this is my last career, so let's go for it. Bite the bullet, and I said, okay, let's go for it. And I've been pushing my personal envelope ever since, doing things that I'm not comfortable doing normally.
Okay.
but it's been working out, but I've been stressed out a little bit on occasion. But yeah, so I signed with him, and then we had to go after that was to get our first picture book contract. So he coached me. Actually, it's the same method that he shows me a manuscript that he has in hand and says, look, I sold this manuscript. I know the editor is still looking for an illustrator. Why don't we pitch you? That way the agent gets his whole,
Yeah, he gets both.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and everybody's pretty happy, which is what happened.
With uh the having an agent, did you have any sort of agent or anything at all prior, in the sense of not necessarily kidlit, but just, you
Oh
know,
yeah, I have experience with agents. Yeah, in the licensing business, I had one agent in Japan, I have one in Spain, and I had one in England, and one in the States.
yeah,
So I was working at one point with 4 different agencies because in the licensing business, agencies are divided up by geography. They don't do worldwide. Well, nowadays they might say they do worldwide, but nobody really does worldwide. But at that time, in 2010, it was divided up by territory.
yeah. Okay, I remember you
Yeah,
mentioned. Now that you say that, I remember you mentioning that you had the for the Asian market, that you had a
yeah.
agent helping there. So, you know, this is what you call the last career, uh,
It's the last hurrah. Yeah.
but one of the questions I always love to ask is like, and I know you're mentioning the last, but there's plenty of time, and there's
Yeah.
plenty of room for wiggling and moving around and changing. And I'm wondering, are there things that you sort of feel like you haven't tackled at this point? I mean, obviously you've had a variety of career uh, options and changes throughout time, but
Hmm.
it's something you look at, like when you retire, or when you maybe when kidlit is not on the front burner. Is there something that's always been this like, ooh, I want to get around to this?
Um, Not really. I've really invested in this. If I start feeling that it's time to move on, then I'll start probably researching, depending on my interests, my physical condition. I have a feeling it'll probably be right now. Actually, book publishing is really an international thing for me. It's allowing me to travel, to go visit book fairs around the world. So that was one of the main reasons I got into doing the sideline outside of the country. Licensing did a little bit of traveling, but with books, I got around to a lot of book fairs. I go to Bologna every year, and we'll be going for the foreseeable future. It's been a lot of fun. Um, so that's a driver for me too. If it slows down, then I'll start thinking what I'm going to do probably more locally, not too far from home. There's all kinds of little conditions. Might be just, you never know. Might be teaching people in my building here. Who knows?
Yeah, it's uh
Yeah.
it's one of those things where
You downsize, slow down.
well, I'm wondering, like you mentioned, even just the idea of that you like silk screen and stuff like that. I'm wondering, like, is there a
Oh, yeah.
like a an approach or a material that becomes the this is the relaxation element versus the must
Yeah.
produce or production?
Well, this is it. I mean, the what I'm doing now as a book illustrator is it's stimulating, but it's also my relaxation. It's my passion. Um, so I feel really lucky to be doing that and making a decent living off of it, and being able to travel with it. It's really fulfilling my objectives, my dreams. So yeah, I've been pretty happy. I don't know what else would at this point, unless you know, my, my objectives change. But right now, my next objective, right now, what you're seeing me doing with markers, that's my exploring with different materials, because I'm basically digital. What I'll do with these elephants is probably scan them and then try and work them digitally with
Yeah,
Procreate, for instance. Because what I like about digital is that I don't need a big space. I can do it anywhere, and it's not messy. I mean, silkscreen printing, you need a whole workshop for that, and you need chemicals. You need, it's physically demanding. Um, so yeah, right now I can just take my iPad and sit down anywhere at a coffee shop and work. I did a lot of books in coffee shops.
Now,
at one point. Yeah.
Procreate is
Yeah, I
the
use Procreate, Photoshop, and Illustrator right now.
okay,
I mean, I wouldn't mind trying that, trying out the Adobe one that combines everything. You know,
the Fresco or whatever it's called.
yeah. But I haven't gotten around to that yet, so I'm still. But what I'm doing is I'm exploring with. I love pencil crayons, so I'm pencil crayons and markers because that's kind of bringing back to my childhood.
Yeah. That's my I've said this on here so many times, probably that it bores people when I say this, but I do think that as people uh, go through changes in life and sort of have the chance to reflect, and I've done that as well myself, just that idea of like, okay, what's the goal here? What's the purpose? What am I doing? And then oftentimes it's going back to things that were once, you know, familiar or things that um, are I want to say not necessarily like
Yeah,
childish, but just the idea of like going back to things that are the fundamental base for the things that we do. And so that idea of like, you know, for me, it's paint and scissors and glue and things of that sort.
exactly.
And you know, for you, if it's pencils and markers and whatever it may be. So, um, do you find uh, that one of the questions I always wonder is sort of the time frame that people work, and as illustrators often and designers too, there is this like burning the candle at both ends uh, situation that pops up where people work horrible hours trying to meet deadlines and things of the sort. But I'm
Yeah.
like, now that you're in your, and I hate to say, I always feel bad saying this now, your final career. Uh, and,
Yeah,
um,
I'm in my golden years here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that idea of like, has it shifted in any way where you're like, you know what? I'm not going to stay up the crazy hours. I'm not going to burn myself out because this is about fun versus, you know,
Yeah.
you're not making a name for yourself at this point. You've already done that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. My take is that I want to do the work. My newspaper career, having daily deadlines has helped me a lot. I know where to take shortcuts if I need to. I know how to plan in advance to arrive at a deadline. And but still, sometimes there's pressure. Usually before going on a trip, there's a lot of pressure to get stuff out. But it has always seemed to work out so far. um, yeah, and you know, I manage my own time, and I'm balancing basically my as grandparents. I have my grandchildren; they come like first. So when the grandchildren need something, or my children need something, who my children are your age, they need help in some way that comes first. And I'm always able to push the books left and right. They're quite, but I get to work. You know, sometimes I work some weekends on books, but you know, on weekdays I babysit and or otherwise I go with my wife doing whatever grocery shopping, whatever. It's really great actually.
That's, I mean, I hit a point where the weekends tend to be less work driven. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen every once in a while, but there
Yeah,
was a point where it was like, I'm losing my weekends because I'm always, you know, deadlines or things of the sort. And it's like,
yeah, yeah.
slow that down in some capacity. Um, with
Well,
the,
I'm lucky that I don't have a boss and I don't need to work the 9 to 5 and I don't need necessarily to don't need the income per se. It's always welcome, but I don't. So I'm fairly independent and I can choose my projects.
yeah.
So
Now,
it's best. Yeah.
your wife, your partner in
Yeah.
crime, there, were
Yep.
they in the arts as well?
No, my wife is in the employment counseling. She used to help, she's retired now too, but her job was to help women get back into the job market.
Now, was she the one that helped you with your employment counseling earlier?
No, because she was the one who worked with that orientation counselor and recommended me to counsel her. Yeah, no, she doesn't do exactly that. In the human resources field, there's all kinds of niches. So she
Yeah.
doesn't really do that kind of specific one-on-one counseling. Um, she's more specialized in kind of teaching a program and getting women. But yeah, it's sort of the same thing, but not as specific.
I do see that we have a question from you from Matthew Bergs here that says, for Julian, how was
Okay.
Bologna this year? Heard you had an illustrator's duel
Oh,
with,
yeah.
I'm going to assume Tita?
Yep, Tita. Tita is a Brazilian illustrator working in Scotland, and she is also now the international coordinator for illustrators for SCBWI.
Ah,
Yeah. She's really dynamic, fun, lots of energy. Yeah.
and who
And so
won?
he was at.
Who
Sorry,
won
go ahead.
though?
Oh yeah. Well, you know what it is with these illustrator duels? It's always a draw.
Yeah, that's a very nice cordial way of saying that one of you won and the other one is
He's a
Grace.
winner.
How was the fair?
Okay. Yeah, Bologna is very interesting because, as you know, it's the largest children's book fair in the world.
Yep.
It's one of the only book fairs. They probably have that in Shanghai now as well, but it's one of the only book fairs that has really an illustrator's track or section. They've done that since the beginning of their time. That the Milan School of Art or Design runs the program for illustrators. However, the challenge in Bologna is that the editors, publishers are there not primarily not to look at illustration. But the
Yeah.
illustrators are there primarily to try and get jobs from the publishers. But the publishers don't want anything to do with the illustrators, generally speaking. Not to say that they don't, but so it's like two parallel worlds. And so the fun part for me in the last years is trying to bridge those two worlds. And I noticed that this year SCBWI has also made a big effort in bridging those worlds by simply telling illustrators and other writers from SCBWI how to work the fair. And then as I realized online, a lot of people now are talking about how to work the fair. And one of the main things to do is to know what you want to get out of the fair and adjust accordingly, because you cannot do everything in the 3 days that you have or the 4 days you have at the fair. And it's huge because you can go there and I go there and you meet with other SCBWIers, people. That's my home base at the fair. I go to their booth, say hello to everyone. We get to know each other. We know each other already probably from a few years down the road. And then we decide what we want to do. Most illustrators will bring a portfolio. Most of them will try and get a portfolio review somewhere. And most of them will also try and go to conferences. There's, literally, there's 100 conferences going on, and many of them are for illustrators, especially because there's that illustrator's corner.
Yeah.
But this year I decided not to do any of that. And I said, as an illustrator who doesn't really need, I can show my portfolio, but it's not going to really do anything for me, I don't think, having this, a number of books published. It's better for me to actually have, and I have it right here. It's better to have a catalog of books and start pushing books that are available for foreign rights, because that's where all the publishers go. They all try and sell their books to other countries.
Yep.
So my publishers all go with their latest catalog, let's say spring 2026.
Yep.
But I'm going with my catalog, and my books are going back 5 or 10 years at the most, so maybe the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm trying to sell my back store, because the books are all good. If a publisher sees a book, and even if it's 5 years old, in that new market, in that publisher's market, it's a new book.
New, yeah.
So that's the way to keep the story going around the world. And so my objective was to meet with publishers, to network with editors, and find ways of doing so. So I, again, hired a consultant who's actually a friend of mine who's coached me on this catalog business, because that's what he uses. he's been going to these fairs for years and years and years as a writer and translator. And that's his main business, is to make contact with his publishers at that fair. And that's what I did. I went around to the cocktail parties. I went and talked to my Canadian publishers, my American publishers. I talked to publishers that bought my books from my publishers. Like this one, You Can't Tame a Tiger, was sold to Belgium last year. So I went to see that publisher from Belgium and talk to them and show them my other books and that they might be interested in. This book here, which is a little bit about with the dog that looks like painted by Frida, that was sold to a Swedish publisher this year. So I went to the Swedish publisher's booth and said, hey, look, I do these other books too. You might be interested. So that was my objective. And that sets me a little bit apart from the massive illustrators that are there.
Yeah.
No, who are running around with portfolios.
Like at this point, yeah, I don't know if I like going to SCBWI. I was talking to someone the other day, a mentee that I was working with, and they were asking about the value of it. And there's a value to that system, but there's also a different value when you've worked in the industry for a bit. And you probably don't go for the same thing, or there's a different content or different amount of time that you're going to put into something like that, because you've sort of already done some of the legwork ahead of time. And one of the
you're addressing a very good point, which is what I had a discussion with Sarah Baker, who's the president right now, and she said they're looking for ways to engage mid-career book creators.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of stuff for somebody who's starting out. That's pretty well established. They have a good program. They know what they want to do. But for illustrators and like ourselves, who have a number of books, what is the value of SCBWI? And there should be some value. They are supposed to address everybody at all levels.
Yep. And obviously, there is value. I'm not saying there isn't value, but the value has changed. So like, I imagine the same thing would be for you as it is for me. When I go to something like that, the focus no longer is on illustration. The focus is on writing. The focus is on something, like a part of my skill set that is not as robust at this point. And,
right.
But it's still like, it becomes a question of value at that point. How much are you going to put into it if you're getting one workshop, or you're getting, to like the career or a portfolio review doesn't have the same impact. At this point. But for someone who's starting out, it's an amazing resource. But it's just a matter of what stage you are career-wise at that time.
So I think as a mid-career creator, we can always ask ourselves questions on what can we get out of it, and is there something? The questioning is continuous throughout your career, actually, right until the end. You're always saying, well, what are you getting out of it? Because a lot of us go to SCBWI for the networking, for sharing, because we like the ones that are published usually go back because they like sharing and meeting new people, and also sharing their experiences and coaching people, mentoring, etc. So there's value in that.
Now, when you go, are you going to the New York one, or are you going to one in Canada? Where are you going when you go to the conferences?
Okay. I usually go to New York every year. I go to Toronto every year because that's our other book publisher. That's our Canadian hub. Yeah. All the publishers there. And in October, there's an annual workshop there. In Montreal, it's funny, I meet my French Canadian publishers in Europe and in Bologna.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it just because of the language difference? Is it?
No. It's because in Montreal, we're at home, they're in their offices. I'd have to get out of my house and go to their office and make an appointment. It's complicated. But then I know they're all sitting there in their booths in Bologna, and they're not always all time busy. So you can go around and talk to them just like casually. And then they have their cocktail parties, and Sometimes you'll be invited to one of their author parties. So they're more in the mood to talk to people then than they are in Montreal, where they have to do their work day to day work 9 to 5.
Interesting.
That's really
So I have heard with Bologna specifically that there is, and I think you addressed it in some sense, like the publishers are not there just to look at illustrators
right.
in the same way. But I'm wondering, has there been, like, I heard at one point someone tried to go to one of the booths and got turned away because they were, even though they were an illustrator there, they wanted to go in and look at their work amongst others, and the publisher, and I won't name names here, but the publisher
Okay.
kind of like, no, this is for something else, content wise. And I'm wondering, is that something that is prevalent? Because it sounds like
Yeah.
your experience is you could just go up to the booth and just
Yeah.
be like, hey, I'm here. But
Yeah. No, it's not that simple. First of all, you have to approach it as you have to put yourselves in their shoes, and you approach it as a business person, and you have to go there with something that you have to go there with an idea of what you want. In other words, not all publishers are equal, and not all publishers are suited for you. You want to work normally. You want to work with publishers that already appreciate your style, that are already publishing Americans, let's say, or English names. You go to Czechoslovakian publisher, you check his booth and see, one, are the books similar to books that you would be doing, and two, are they actually buying foreign rights from other countries? Are they buying American foreign rights? If there's a fit there, then you can sort of go and introduce yourself, and then that's a whole. There's kind of a approach to doing that kind of thing. It's like working any other professional trade show, which is not what we illustrators are used to doing. But if you go to any kind of trade show, it's business to business. So you want to offer them something, or you have some kind of common objective, or you have the same products, or you can. But you find a talking point.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't go up there and say, hey, I got a portfolio. That'll just shut them down. Boom.
Yeah.
Most of them. There are opportunities to show your portfolio, but I mean, there are lineups. There's literally, I'm sure there's 1,000 illustrators on site at any time. There's so many people from all over the world, and so much talent, and so many exhibitions to see. Many illustrators really go to get inspired. Basically, they don't set too many objectives like getting a contract, even though some do, or meeting. They want to meet their illustrator heroes. That's a place to do it.
So let me ask a technical question, because my wife and I are going to go, and we've been, saving up for it, and there's go by a certain date, by a certain year, etc. But it is so big, that festival, and there's so many people there, and I worry about logistics. Like, how far in advance do you need to start getting a place to stay, and those kind of, like, is it hard to get food? Because I know this is like really rudimentary, but I just worry about like the access things, because there are so many people there doing the same thing.
That's right. You can generally assume that the city is full. The hotels are full. There will be some last minute Airbnbs probably, but the publishers book a year in advance. So attendees, if you're not a publisher, like I'm not a publisher, I will book probably in the fall. I do now, after a number of visits, have a hotel that I prefer. I do have a system that I prefer. That is, I prefer to stay at a hotel that's closer to the fair, where all my colleagues, illustrators, like to stay closer downtown to the old part of town and take a bus to the fair. But that's because they're mostly younger and they want to stay out late, and they want to be close. Yeah, you want to be close to the restaurants and stuff like that. Where I'd prefer to be close to the fair, so it's not a long walk. I prefer to walk to the old town, and then I don't stay out that late and I walk back. So it's a matter of preference. So yeah, you start planning about October would be good. Start thinking about it. Start asking around. You have friends. You can ask me later on when you're ready. SCBW, has run this year for the first time. They had a WhatsApp chat room and there was 150 illustrators on that thing asking those questions. Where can I eat? Where do I eat? Where do I sleep? Who do I meet? How do I set up my portfolio? Do I want to stick something on the famous walls at the fair? As you know, there's a ritual that you pin your artwork up on these walls that line the hallways. And what kind of promotional materials do you bring? So there's a lot of concrete questions like that, concrete technical things. However, I also advise that you try and figure out what you might want to do. And as usually it's not that complicated. The first time you visit, it's to explore. The second time you visit, it's to start talking to your publishers who are there. Third time you visit, you start talking to other publishers that you might want to work with. As you know, the American publishers pay the most in the world in terms of money, right?
Yeah.
You get the biggest advances are in the States. The rest of the world, like I can tell you here in Quebec, typically it's probably a tenth. Am I making it out? I go to extremes, but it's like, you can get maybe now 4,000, depending on your style and how long it takes and your relationship with the publisher. You can get around on the average of 4,000 Canadian dollars, which means it's like 3,500 maybe American for a whole book, 32 pages. So in Czechoslovakia, you might not get anything. You go to certain African publishers, you're not going to get any money at all. If they like your work, or they might try and buy the rights from one of your books, but they'll pay you $50 because they can't afford anything else. So you have to decide why you're going, why you're not staying in the American market. If you want to be published elsewhere, why do you want to be published elsewhere? Because it's not going to be for the money.
Yep. No, I've worked with quite a few Canadian publishers.
Oh, good. Which ones? Like?
Kids Can Press, Groundwood.
Yep.
A little tiny one called Orca.
Yep.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I've worked with those a couple of times, so it's and they're definitely not as high paying as the U.S. ones, but at the same time, it's as you said, it's for the love of the game, not necessarily for
you get your work published. Yeah. Well, congratulations. I haven't worked with that many publishers. I once showed my portfolio at an SCWI conference about portfolios, and they were evaluating portfolios. The usual people there, they have a couple of three art directors. A panel would evaluate your portfolios. You send them in beforehand, and they would choose your portfolio, and they would give you comments. Obviously, they're not going to tear you down in public, but my portfolio, they said, you know what, it's really good portfolio, and obviously doing books, but it's a niche portfolio. You won't work with 30 different publishers. You'll work with 2 or 3.
Huh.
And so that's and I tend to agree with them. If I look around, there's not that, it's hard working with flat art graphics and not being pushed into a more, and depends what kind of books you want to do, but I like to do books with independent publishers, or even the big publishers, but who are really doing really good quality books that are recognized, as opposed to doing many very overtly commercial books that you might not get your name on the cover, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
It's a paying gig. You might be paid a flat rate, but that's not really what I want. I want to go more into the art side of things, if you like. If that's the right term, I don't know. So that's what I'm trying to do, trying to bring my flat art graphic work, but into a more artistic realm, as opposed to simply, because I've worked with a French publisher who's really commercial in the sense that their whole outlook is oriented money-wise, and they publish large quantity and they ship them out. But you can tell that the illustrators they hire are from all the same cut, cut from the same cloth,
Yeah.
which would, in my case was true. So I took the job because I was learning at that time, but I wouldn't work with them again because they have a reputation of not paying a whole lot, and their work looks a little bit generic, I guess is the word I was looking for. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I mean, yeah,
I'm in a boat because of teaching, and my bread and butter income comes
right,
from teaching, not necessarily from the kidlit side of things.
right,
I get to play a little more, or I'm not as worried if a contract isn't, on the plate at all times.
right.
I mean, obviously I do worry about it, but it's not to the same level that if I was a full-time freelancer,
No, no,
it's not the same things.
no, no, no. I needed the regular income.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And so I'm not as like, if I want to play, I can play, and it's not the end of the world. Now, obviously my agent might look at it and go, okay, enough play. Let's get down to brass tacks here. But it's nice to know that there's this flexibility that's there, at least on my end. I'm wondering a little bit, sort of, with your experience of working with different publishers from around the world, or not, not different publishers, but with selling rights to other publishers and things of the sort.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how much of that, because it sounded like you were doing that yourself versus your agent.
Okay, well, the rights at this point, all the rights in all of my books that I've worked on the foreign rights part of it belong to the publisher. That means if Simon & Schuster is doing Chica Chica, they want to sell the rights. They're handling all the aspects of that.
Yeah.
I'm really using that as an excuse to talk to publishers.
Oh, okay.
I'm not expecting them to say, okay, Julien, sit down and we're going to work out the details of the legal contract and all that. I was just going to say, no, you have to go see that person at that publisher. Let's say Kids Can Press, you got to go see so-and-so. They're just around the corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense now. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that you couldn't do it yourself, but it was one of those things where I'm like, wouldn't that be the job of
Yes.
the agent in some sense? But
Yes.
now I get it. You're sneaking around the system, is what you're saying.
That's right, and that's what I like. I kind of like doing that, and that's why when I went to book publishing, that's what I did. Licensing was fun. I like to get to know how a system works and how I can benefit from it, and what the roadblocks are and how to get past them. It's
Yep.
kind of a
It's there are some fun stories that are out there about how people sort of learn how to not necessarily manage the system, learn how to operate with a system that has a structure that, there's wiggle room to make it what you need it to be. And so that's sounds akin to that in some way.
yeah,
With
and not everybody likes doing that,
yeah, I mean, there's
a
that
lot of illustrators are like just really want to do the artwork and leave the rest of it to other people.
yeah, I mean, I'm a lot of illustrators, and I don't know if it's just a generational thing too, but tend to be relatively shy at this point. Like the students that I have,
Yeah.
tend to be relatively shy, or telling them, hey, you got to get out there and you got to talk to people and do stuff. And I say you might have to go knock on doors if it comes down to it. They, they're okay with sending an email, they're okay with texting, but literally going to an office and saying, hey, I'm an illustrator, what can I do for you, is sort of out of,
and I remember how I was at that age, and I was the same. It was really nerve-wracking to go out there and knock on doors, but I can do it now. It's never too late, and so it's not as, and even now it's not. Wasn't this year? I got my wife to come with me. She comes with me to Bologna, so it's like it's a business trip for both of us. So it's deductible. Number one.
Yep.
Number two. She's my wing woman. She knows how to. She doesn't know that much doesn't know as much as I do about the business, but she knows enough to, be able to talk to people that I wouldn't be able to approach necessarily. It would be kind of weird. She can talk to, and she's very, she's more outgoing. She is more outgoing than I am, generally. So she can talk to strangers and start asking questions. And that's how it works at Bologna. You know where the best leads come from? Standing in the line to go to the women's washroom.
Ah,
That is because you can imagine how long those lines are for one. And so people talk to each other and you never know who you talk to. You turn around to the person behind you and say, look.
Are you being a creep and standing there in the line for the
Well, I told you I can't do everything. That's the whole thing.
Okay.
So when we go, so we have a little strategy, we elaborate a strategy if we want to talk to somebody. My thing is I will approach publishers that's the other thing. If you want to talk to editors, you're going to have to make appointments. If you want to make appointments, you're going to have to make appointments starting in October.
Oh, okay.
Even though they may not have their appointments down yet, but they'll be very busy generally, and in the last minute they'll be booked up. So,
But at least get name on the list of some sort.
yeah. So I got appointments, so it's possible.
And then your job is to give them lots of drinks so that they have to go to the bathroom. That's where you have right there ready to attack. Like, oh, you look parched. I'll go get you a water. And,
well, yeah, you get them coffees, lots of coffees.
Yeah.
You're always taking, can I get you coffee?
I forgot it's Italy. Yeah, it's not water. It's coffee. It's fancy.
It's wine sometimes, but coffee at the fair, yeah, for sure. The other thing about Bologna is that it's a great place to eat.
Yes.
So we all try to book restaurants and parties, and then if not, usually a lot of the illustrators, they just go by themselves, or they pair up with somebody and they'll go out, because there's a lot of places you can eat casually with no reservations, but there's a lot of places you'll need reservations that months ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, after several years of going, it's something I picked up. We've got some restaurants we like that my publishers introduced us to. So we'll book 1 or 2 restaurants ahead of time. I have also going a Canadian, kind of hosting a Canadian pizza party where I reserve a restaurant and I have a chat group going before, probably starting in December. And then I find out who's going, because a lot of Canadians, they go, but they don't say to each other, we're going, you're going, are you coming? So I try to get that going. This year we ended up with about 15 people going, and then they come with their friends, sometimes international friends. So we had Japanese, Australians, all kinds of people at the party, but we had Canadian flags at the party. So that was kind of fun. That's one thing. And then SCBW has their famous cocktail party also, which you have to, as a member, but you have to get your invitation beforehand too, because it's popular and it fills up fast.
I like how you tried to tell me that the food in Italy is good.
Actually, it's great. Yeah. If you ever go, you can ask me for, I can give you some. I'm making a list of places and that I've tried, so.
Yeah.
And that other people have recommended, so.
Now, have you ever been to Icon?
No, I haven't. I wanted to go sometimes, but no. Did you go?
I've never been, and there's always been conflict of some sort.
That's it, yeah.
Arisen for me, and so at some point I'm going to go to that one. But I mean, Bologna is the top. That's the must go to Bologna. But at some point I would like to get out to Icon just to see what it's like. I mean, I know a lot of people that do go, but I don't have a real sense of what the experience is like.
I assume Icon is like, well, for the whole illustration industry, for one thing.
Yeah.
And they probably have some pretty good discussions and conferences too on the state of this and that.
I know that they have workshops and things that you would find at a lot of these other events and whatnot too, but it's one of those ones where just it seems like if you're going to just meet illustrators and you're not concerned with a specific type of illustration, not going for like, oh, I need to go for kidlit alone.
Yeah.
That seems like such a good app to go down. So, um,
When what you're teaching illustration a general program, or is it specific to kids' books, or
I teach. So I'm a full timer at the college.
okay?
So I teach a variety of different classes, but
Oh,
primary.
okay. Okay.
Uh, I teach kidlit, like picture book class, which I just wrapped up the other day.
Nice.
I teach a lot of senior, like professional practice and what's the other like thesis,
Oh
final
yeah, okay. Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's been my sort of mainstay for a majority of it. But then I also teach everything from like freshman level courses to sophomores to like just a variety of things that are sort of interdisciplinary and um, the school's small enough that there is a lot
Yeah.
of commingling of projects and faculty.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you
Is
know,
your but you're mostly illustration or illustration and design?
I am illustration at this point. I got my master's in visual design, but
Oh, cool.
it
Yeah.
was sort of a cross section of illustration and design, and I even did paintings for my final, so it wasn't really even like I thought I was going for design at the beginning, and then it sort of shifted a little bit. Um, but it did sort of grow my interest in design as a product of
Yeah.
sort. So,
Oh,
uh,
okay. Okay. Cool.
would it with the design background that you have, like the newspaper, all that kind of stuff? Was there when you got out of school? I'm wondering, sort of like what were you said there was like three different fields that you could go into, which I don't think is all that different today, honestly, from what I.
Okay.
But just that idea of um, did you like have to do the same shopping around? Was the market a different type of market? It's like right now, there's a lot of scare in students of, oh, is it,
Oh yeah.
jobs out for me, or jobs out there for me rather.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a different sort of vibe, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm wondering sort of like when you stepped out, because when I graduated, it was 2000. So,
Okay.
you know, obviously a little bit later than when you graduated, but uh,
Yeah.
but the market was, there was still portfolio drop offs, and there was still no one had
Oh,
websites, and things at the time.
yeah.
So I would love to hear a little bit about sort of like what it was like
In the
stepping
day.
in the door in that day.
Well, in that day, it was not much different from the 70s, where, yeah, you had to knock on doors, you had to ask for interviews and show your portfolio. Um, the trick was actually finding these studios and finding out who was working in the field and what they were doing, because that was not widely known. It was not a hugely popular field of activity. So it was a lot of word of mouth at that point. Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean by it was not a popular activity? Like design what?
No, I mean in terms of a career choice. So people didn't know what it was. I couldn't just go anywhere and say, I want to be a graphic designer. You say,
Uh,
what is, I had to explain what a graphic designer is.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
I mean, it was at that point. Today, it's a lot, I think it's not, it's easier to explain, but also today what you have is you have gaming, you have video games, you have animation that we have now, web design. So there's a lot of motion design. You can work in a lot of different fields,
There's
but
um,
there's a lot more people out there too, though, looking for work. I don't know how AI is affecting you. Are you hearing about that?
oh yeah. I mean, especially in the teaching world, that's come up quite a bit. I don't think. I mean, this is probably um, a little bit of privilege here, but I think because I got into the industry, or the industries that I'm in, I got in before
Yeah,
the implementation of AI, and I built up enough of a, a body of work that I'm not as threatened by it in the same way.
yeah,
as someone trying to make their at this time. And so I think there's a lot more sort of talk, especially at the college level, of students getting out of like, how is it going to affect them? But I also think, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but I feel like I'm not sure how long those legs are going to hold up AI before people start to sort of push back against it in a way that um, it becomes, what do I want to say, like, uh, or I,
Well, the field is moving fast. That's for
yeah,
sure.
but
Are
I
we
also,
gonna yeah.
oh, go ahead, please, 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 go ahead.
Are we going to tire of it faster?
Yes.
Uh, or are we going to adapt it? Because I was there when Photoshop arrived and the Illustrator arrived, and that cut out a lot of typesetter jobs at that point.
Yep.
A lot of typesetters were scared, and all those people that were doing newsletters lost their jobs. It was a huge upheaval. And then also people that were doing creative work with Photoshop, it looked like it was computer Photoshop. You could tell it was Photoshop. But eventually they got over that, and nowadays Photoshop is a tool, and it's in the background. It's not you don't have a Photoshop style. But AI, you still have an AI style right now. You can tell it's like, oh, this is AI. It's because it's done this way and that way.
Yeah.
But this is besides the whole ethical question when it came
Oh,
out.
I mean, there's ethical
Because
questions galore with it, but I'm in the same
yeah,
mindset that you are, in the sense of that. I think right now it's at the forefront of everybody's mind, and eventually I think it's not going to be as popular, or that there's going to be enough of a pushback against it that it will not stay to the same level, like the forefront of, you know, industry, and eventually
yeah.
people are going to go, well, I'm not looking for that AI look, I'm looking for something else. Um, and
I'm
hope,
thinking, yeah, I'm thinking that eventually it'll find its place, and that there are artists that will be, aside from the ethical issues, that artists that will be able to use it and not sell their soul to the tech companies, because that's what you do right now. If you use it, the artwork becomes part of their property.
yeah,
But if you can get personalized AI, I think you'll see that artists will be finding ways of using it, exploiting it, that will be significant, that will be in their style, and that won't be able to be replicated by others, theoretically.
yeah, no,
That well,
I'm of that same boat. I think that like it will be around, it will be used, but I think that it will not be. I don't see it having a huge impact, especially when it comes to the thing that I've had to have a lot of questions with the school, or conversations about, rights management.
right.
And I mean, you know about that quite a bit, the um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Licensing side.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
eventually it's right now, at least in the States, as far as I understand, and I could be wrong, but that you can't copyright it in the
right.
same way as it's not made by you. And so like, how many publishers are going to work with people who don't have the rights to their own images and things of that sort? That I think the rights issue is going to be the thing that actually probably prevents a lot of long-term use of AI in the arts. But
Yeah,
who
yeah.
knows?
Often the ad agencies are in the forefront. Um, so we'll see how they're going to handle it with their clients. I mean, they produce advertisements in all forms. They're going to have to copyright them. Their clients won't want to give them up to and say, "Oh, that belongs to OpenAI now."
Well, I remember a relative of mine, or my wife's rather, is probably a better way to put it, who worked for Getty Images, or did. And
Right,
when I
right,
was talking to
right,
her, said, Adobe says that they have all these rights to this like AI catalog sort, and they might, but what they found is, especially at Getty, where they have to deal with the rights management of the photographs and things that people put forward, is there are a lot of people that say, I own this photograph, but in the photograph, there's the McDonald's logo in the background.
Oh
And
yeah.
like
Okay.
they might own the actual photograph, but they don't own the rights to the branding that's shown within. And so then
Right.
that's a bigger problem. And so there's all sorts of things that come out of that I think are going to be discussed at some point in the near future.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they go the right way. The conversations go the right way, and it's not
Yeah. Yeah.
huge, but we will see. I have hope. Let's put it that way. I am not a pessimist in this situation.
Have you seen any job losses in your area for uh, due to AI in terms of in jobs in the illustration design market?
I've heard a lot of stuff, especially from the sci-fi fantasy community.
Yeah.
There's a big challenge there, and the gaming community.
Right.
And I think that's where it's going to be challenging of some sort. On the illustration side, but outside of that fantasy realm, like I don't know is the content that it makes for kidlit is spectacular in any way. Like I don't know as it's a
No.
great storyteller,
Yeah.
and so I have not seen a lot of people, or I should say, it's not a great inventive storyteller, and that's what needs to be coming to
No.
the point.
No. No. You're right. I mean, no. It actually, I tested it on like rewriting my biography. Um, I write it in a certain way, and then I ask AI to improve it. ChatGPT, can you improve this, please? And it actually dulls it down.
Yeah,
It gives it the tone suddenly becomes so impersonal. Uh, yeah.
I mean, my personal take on it in general is, or my thing that I tell students is, and this is going to sound weird no matter how I say it, is to make ugly work. And what I mean by that is
Okay.
AI tends to gravitate towards what's popular,
Yeah.
what's beautiful,
Uh,
etc. And if you come at it with a style that's not on the, like, students walk in and they all try to imitate what's cool and what's hip,
right.
and so is AI. But if they start to say, I'm going to make something that is not the most prevalent imagery that's out there on the internet, or I'm going to make something that's a little bit avant-garde or challenging in some way,
Right.
that likely they are going to make work that AI is not searching for in the same capacity.
You're right. You're
And
right. I mean, the general public that's using AI to create images won't be asking for that.
yeah, and so I don't, to me, that's a way to sort of approach it that doesn't require a huge, uh, what do I want to say, like, and I don't mean to make ugly work. Let's put it that way. I don't mean to make
No,
ugly.
no, no, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, don't make popular. Don't make something that's repetitive or derivative of what is out there, or what is considered beautiful today. Find something
Right.
that's going to be somehow deemed beautiful 10 years down the line and be at the forefront of it instead.
Yeah.
Uh, sense. Um, and so, we have the conversation at school, and there are people that are pro AI, and there are people that are anti AI, but it's still a lively conversation on a regular basis. And
Oh, yeah.
I don't know when it's going to be solved, or when people are going to feel 100% comfortable, but it's not today.
No. Ah,
I mean,
yeah. Well, same discussion here.
yeah, I was going to say, what are you seeing up your way, or like, was there a discussion about that at Bologna of any sort from folks? Was there?
Yeah, there probably was, but unfortunately, I was too busy running around to
Yeah, okay.
those cocktail parties and to the book booth. I didn't have time to schmooze with the conference people that much. It's crazy. Time flies, huh? The you only have that many hours in a day. Fair is only open that long. So yeah.
I mean, are you
Uh,
worried about it at this point?
you know what? Yeah, that's one of the things I said. I'm going to take the Chica jobs before AI gets it, because I mean it looks so simple, and I mean AI could do it, but there'd be probably at this point a lot of tweaking, but down the road they could do it, I expect. So I said, well, let me benefit, let me a human benefit from it, and I'm kind of glad that I'm not looking for work, because those who are entering the field will have to deal with it.
Yeah.
and find their place within that. And especially now because it's starting. It's if in 5 years, it probably will be pretty well established so that people looking in 5 years for work will know what to look for. But right now, we don't know what to look for. I
Yeah.
mean, like you said, the gaming industry, the sci-fi fantasy world is being upended. Um,
I mean, I know there's way more industries that are out there that are being affected. I'm sure surface design, I'm sure all these industries are being hit by it. But um, as you said, I think you and I and probably a lot of other folks got out ahead of the curve. And it's a
yeah,
matter of, I don't worry for me. I worry for all those people that struggle too.
yeah,
Um, I mean, the same thing could be said, and I mean, you lived through this the same way I did, but the introduction of the internet means now you're not competing against someone down the road who has a car and can get to New York and show their stuff. You're competing against everybody around the world for the same jobs, and
that's true,
you know, same
true,
same element
true.
way.
Yeah, actually, the internet benefited me in so many ways because I remember in the before pre-internet era, if you wanted to find out about a business or about an industry, you had to go to a specific library. And in Montreal, there was a specific office where they had binders full of information, different about trade shows and about companies around the world. But you had to do a lot of research, uh, by hand. You had to go there physically, and then you had to spend hours in that place to find information. As soon as the web came out, that's when my illustration career took off because I could contact companies online.
I have students that have asked me like, how do you find companies? And I have to tell them that when I started out, I would go to a big bookstore that had I was doing editorial at the time.
Right, right,
Go to the big bookstore and I'd go grab 10 magazines off the shelf and I'd write down the masthead.
right.
Uh, who's the editor, who's the publisher, who's the designer, etc. And I would send them all postcards, and you would send them one, and you go, I hope they like this one image.
Yeah,
That's enough. That's
yeah,
enough for them to somehow go, yes, we want to hire this person for a job. And in some cases they did. I got work out of doing that. But comparing it to now, there's submission guidelines and there's all sorts of rules that make it. I shouldn't say rules because that makes it sound like there's only one way to do it. But there's a
oh
lot of
yeah,
systems that are in place to make it a little bit easier for your work to be seen of some
yeah,
sort.
exactly. Except now that you have international competition.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm so far ahead of it. No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to talk myself up and myself down in the conversation. Um, one of the
Uh, yeah,
one of the things I wanted to ask you a little bit about, sort of before I forget, is you have this sort of and again I use this word lovingly, but you have a very sort of simple approach in your work, the way that I described
yeah,
earlier, efficient. And I'm
yeah.
wondering, has that always been like, did you ever tempt fate and go, you know what, I'm going to make a really complex image, and immediately you go, yuck, no? Or was it something that just never even appealed, never tried it at any point?
Um, I'm thinking, trying to find an example of any. I mean, yeah. I mean, in some of the books, like even in Becoming Blue, the big punchline or the big climax is everything is painted blue, and that's a scene with a lot of elements, and that really kind of drove me out of my mind a little bit because I had never done that before with so many elements. There's trees and plants and water and a whale and some blue is singing and yeah, so it is. I haven't done it that often, but I have done it. There's another French language book that there was a lot of detail. In those cases, I tend to work like in layers. That is, I work on it for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours with basic shapes, basic forms, and then I put another layer on it at a later date.
Well, let me
Yeah.
let
but
me
not
ask,
often. Yeah,
you're mentioning the way that you work, and one of the questions I have, especially for someone who's like a designer at heart,
yeah,
and you're used to the digital programs, you used them for, ages and
yeah,
ages,
yeah,
whatnot. It's that idea of the sketch. And I'm wondering, what does your sketch look like? Is it something that, some people, their sketches are these beautiful, uh, ornate like renderings that have all these value and light studies and color studies and
yeah,
whatnot. And
yeah.
then, I do really
That,
simple black and white line work, but I'm wondering, what does yours sort of look
yeah,
like?
no, it looks like what you see on the screen. It's pretty. I like to do it quick and dirty. That's why I love cartoons, because cartoons look like they have kind of a quick, spontaneous line to them.
Yeah.
Which is a lot different than working digitally with shapes. As you know, in Illustrator, you work with shapes, so it's not as spontaneous. Sometimes it's a lot more geometric. Um, but in each technique um, has its things that attracts me. Pencil working like this, doing sketches, I feel like it's more lively. Um, when I work with shapes, it's more like relationships between shapes. And sometimes I look for errors, if you can believe that, and chance. So I work in Photoshop. I use a lot of the transparency filters to move shapes around. And I find different associations between images that way. And if I move let's say I'm doing underwear with the polar bear and I move the underwear around on Photoshop and it becomes transparent, semi-transparent here. It's an accident. I
Yeah.
didn't plan it that way. And I love that. So that's why I work in so many, you'll find my sketches all over the place. I work on sketchbooks. I work in little notebooks. I work on napkins if necessary. I trying out different pencils. That's for the handwork. But on the computer, it's the same thing. I have different files in different places, a little bit. But when it comes down to producing the final art, it all comes kind of together.
So I got to ask you this question. This is
Okay.
let's see how good you were at your job back at the newspaper. Uh, your
Okay.
files now, how do you label every layer? I'm wondering about the reason why I'm asking
Okay.
that idea of, um, as an illustrator, sometimes people make their work and then there's like hand it off and the layers are a mess. But as
No,
someone
no.
who worked
Yeah.
in the industry that you had to hand off to other people on a regular basis, or you had a cohort you had to work with, how good are you at that side of things, the labeling and structure and system
Yeah.
of it?
When I work on the files at the outset, I do not tend to label them. However, before shipping them off to the art director, I label them. I clean them up.
Yeah,
Definitely do. Yeah. Oh yeah.
that's same boat
Yeah.
here. It's
Yeah.
last minute. The last thing I do is label layers.
Yeah. You label layers. You get rid of stuff that's not necessary. It's got to be a streamlined file. Because I end up with my art director for Chica Chica, Michael. I send up the whole book. I send it like 5, 6 times at least before we get to the finals. So I'm working like on 16 spreads on Illustrator with the artboards, but I'm constantly updating them. Then he sends versions back with a correction, and I make a new version. So I have like all the old versions. I don't throw anything away for years. Now, I don't know what'll happen otherwise, but I assume that the publisher has already kept all those versions or keeps at least the published version. I'm counting on them to archive it.
Oh, there's been times where I've had to write to a publisher and say, "Hey, do you still have that file?
Yeah,
Because I lost something, or it is."
yeah.
And as long as they know what they're doing, they hold on to that kind of stuff. Uh, Definitely, like the amount of files that I have saved of the same thing just out of precaution
Yeah.
probably shock a lot of people. And even at that, my wife and I just found out that they say that hard drives don't last as long as what people think they do. And so,
No, no.
Yeah.
hard drives, and I'm wondering about the cloud because I have my stuff. I don't have anything on hard drives, but I have like a Dropbox account, and I have an extra memory from Apple, and sometimes I have stuff on both, the same stuff on both.
Yeah.
So
I've there was a teacher that used to teach at our school that was he was a designer and did coding, and
oh
uh,
yeah,
you know, you have someone who's dealing with computers and dealing with things where like one little um, punctuation mark can throw the whole thing off. Uh,
right,
he used to tell his students that it's not officially saved unless it's saved in three different locations.
right,
And that idea of, yeah, it's like once to the cloud, once to a hard drive, and then once on the computer
right.
or failing something of the sort. And I always liked that sort of sentiment of you're not officially done until you've hit three different places to save it. And I think even at the time, the cloud wasn't even an option, and so it was like, you know, have a thumb drive, a hard drive, and on the computer, and call it at that. So um, with with the books that you do right now, are you sending layered files or are you sending a bunch of random like flat files?
No,
And
no,
I mean,
they're
obviously,
layered files,
okay.
but simplified layers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
No,
say. Like, are you having hundreds of layers? Is
no,
the question.
no. I try to keep it like to 5 or 6 layers at the most. Like a typical Chica book, you'll put the trees on one layer, you put the letters on another layer, and the borders on a bottom layer. So, and then you'll have a few layers between for accessories.
Do they ever come back at you and say like, "Hey, do you have a layer of this thing and you've already flattened it and you have to go back and see if you have it, or is that something?"
Yeah, no, no, no,
Okay.
no. I usually keep, yeah. What worries me actually is the Procreate stuff because I mean, I'm transferring constantly to to my computer, and then onto the iCloud. But because Procreate, I believe, still does not keep the file. If I have to discard my Procreate app and then reload it, I won't have any of my files. The
Oh yeah.
files are stored. Probably still like that, I guess, that they're stored on the iPad.
Well, I think I don't know. Like, if you use iCloud backup,
Yeah.
it
Oh
might
yeah.
it
Yeah.
might. I just the other day I opened up my Procreate and all my brushes were gone. There were no brushes in the
Oh
program.
yeah. Yeah. That happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happened, and luckily my files were there, but the brushes were all gone. And luckily I had saved them in Drive, so I was able to go back and find all the brushes that I bought and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is a little scary once you get into this world of like uh, safety of files. Luckily, I have originals for almost all the stuff I do, so if I need to, I can go grab those originals later. But it's still like all the editing and color correction and that kind of stuff can
Oh
get
yeah.
lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I saw on your website there was some like cut paper stuff. Is that something um,
Yeah. I love that.
that you?
I love artists that do collage, and I've used cutout paper as part of my early work. And that's what I used to do in Illustrator is imitate cutout paper. That's what I like to do. Except for circles. For some reason or other, cutout circles are really bug me. So I use perfect circles in that kind of.
But
Yeah, the collage work that you saw is real work. They're usually some kind of illustration exercise that was done in a workshop or something.
see, you're doing something a little different than like I purposely avoid a perfect circle. That's nothing is allowed to be perfect. Just an aesthetic choice of
Yeah, yeah,
a certain way.
yeah.
But
No, no, for sure. I mean, if you use a perfect geometric shape, you want to use it in a way that still has personality and doesn't just become, ordinary.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
trying to find the right balance of like
yeah,
there's one of the reasons why I use these, and I'm not doing it tonight, but one of the reasons why I use these scissors is like I have X-Acto blades. I can cut out a mean sharp line, but these guys don't allow it.
Huh.
I forget who I was talking to. I was talking to someone, they were asking me about it,
Yeah.
and it's like it's all about controlling or like knowing what you want to get out of it and what's the best way to tackle it. And oftentimes that is by like controlling your hand or forcing you to do something different that you wouldn't normally do.
Right.
And that's what those scissors provide for me. And so like I had to get new scissors, and it's like, no, I'm getting the ones that are a little clunky and a little hard to work with because
Okay.
of content specifically. Um, do you, how often do you get to work with um, uh, traditional materials nowadays? Like I know that you used to, but it sounds like it's a lot of Procreate now. But do you still get a chance to hop back into the very?
Yeah, well, yeah, this is it. I mean, when I did the Chica Chica, I did a lot of actual cutting out of paper
Yeah,
uh, to get the feel and then trace it back into Illustrator so that, I mean, nobody would notice, but I could kind of feel it. I could feel it when, you know, that Illustrator has certain imperfections that are not imperfections but you can, that are so Illustrator-like. You won't, those imperfections are typical of Illustrator. Let's say it's part of their character. And if you want something that's like cut out paper, sometimes you just have to really cut out the paper
yeah.
and then scan it in and then retrace it. I've done that a lot. Yeah.
Especially with,
um,
and I don't know if it's the same for you, but just that it's hard to fake. It's like trying to do
yeah,
a handwriting.
yeah,
It's so hard to fake certain things,
right.
and you can try and try and try. And so, like, as someone told me, like, oh, I can do all the things that I do with my work digitally, but it's like it's going to take me twice as long to do that because of I'm going to sit there trying to fake something that I can do, or I could actually make the real mistake in a matter of a second. And
That's it. I mean, I understand. That was what I was going through too. Same thing.
I'm trying to figure out my little guys here. Um, with with outside of artwork. So one of the questions I have, and I ask this to students in particular, and half the time they don't have an answer for it, which I think is hilarious. But outside of doing artwork, what are the what's the like go-to activity for you? Uh, you know, under the assumption at some point you will retire. Everybody, when you retire, you're supposed to have something
Yeah.
so you don't
Yeah.
put yourself out completely, and or like you stay active.
Yeah.
What is that thing for you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Because what I'm doing now is it. But if I didn't have, uh, I mean, yeah, especially at our age, we do have to stay active. It's like if you're sedentary,
Mhm.
it's really dangerous.
Oh, I'm gonna feel
So,
for this every session that's 4 hours long. I feel it. My bones hurt.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. I'll bet they do. Yeah, yeah. Well, my wife and I like to hike a lot. We go walking a lot outside. We travel. We read. I'll read a lot.
mm,
Love reading. Love reading graphic novels, all kinds of historical fiction. I love reading YA, especially, um, and obviously read a lot of picture books. I have a huge number of picture books. But what's fun is the picture books, I can use that as research also for learning about how people write or what they write, how the words are attached together, things like that. And of course, at our age, mental stimulation is very important. My wife does Sudoku and other kinds of puzzles. So making stories like that is kind of a puzzle solving exercise. So that's good.
and then you got grand.
Um, and grandchildren, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
that's the real
Um,
at this point is how old are the grandkids?
yeah, they're the youngest is 3. The other one is 8. She's 8, and the oldest one is 10. And we're already seeing that feeling that the 10-year-old is like pulling away. It's going towards pre-adolescence.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, yeah, you can feel that. Oh, it's not so cool. I have the 7-year-old girl. She's writing me on Kid Messenger now. She sends me little drawings and asks me to guess what they are, and
Oh,
then I say, oh, this is this and this, and then she says bravo and gives me a thumbs up, which is kind of cute because in real life she doesn't talk to me a whole lot. She's kind of shy, but on Messenger is okay. So cool. And the 3-year-old, well, he's all gung ho for everything. Life is just great.
are you keeping? I mean, right now I have a 13-year-old and I can barely keep up with him. Uh, he's not that much younger than me. Well, he is. Yes, he is. Never mind. That's a he is younger than me. um,
But I
but
mean, they all go through different phases of
yeah,
growing up. It's normal. And, one has to adapt, I guess, to them. Uh, I'm just feeling like with my drawings and my kids' books and everything, the 3-year-old is right at the beginning of that whole process. So reading with him is great. He loves it. The 7-year-old is reading like crazy. She's reading stuff that I wouldn't think she can read graphic novels of and manga and things like that and fantasy that I would never have thought but she still enjoys the picture books. And the older 10-year-old, I'm not sure now. He's really into painting models of from fantasy battles. I don't know what they are. They're little figurines that he can paint. He's really good. But he still likes to read a picture book. If it's funny, he'll still read it. We'll act it out together. But I can feel that just that. Oh yeah, he's starting to be with more his friends,
mm,
um, that kind of thing. But he still likes to see his grandparents. But we can feel that teenage. He's becoming slowly a teenager,
a preteen,
a
like,
preteen. Yeah.
something that's going to challenge you in more ways than one. Um, did your kids in general? Did they uh, are they art related? Are they like
Uh,
how much is the art?
yeah, I would say actually the most visual art related one is a 7-year-old. She likes everything that's painting and drawing and imagining stories and reading and stuff like that. My daughters, who are adults, neither of them went into creative fields of work. However, they both are very creative in other things. They like my older daughter, who's 40, enjoys crafts. So she's always doing crafts of some sorts or
Hmm,
another, these kits, if it's embroidery or something. Um, and the younger one is into cooking. So she was always into food. So she's very creative in the food world. And they both love going to these trendy restaurants and trying out different things. So yeah, neither of them are in the visual arts professionally, but creativity is not far behind.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I feel like when I ask this question to people, there's always this like, um, uh, if they don't do visual art of some sort, or are in the arts professionally, that the artists in all of us go, oh no, they are creative, they are artists in their own way, their
Yeah.
own approach, and yet in other adults that maybe not artists, they may not see that or may not like
Oh
immediately.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Oh
no, but I mean, everyone is creative in their own way in
yeah,
whatever field they're working in.
yep.
Except my younger daughter, she did become an accountant. And she's doing very well as an accountant.
That's the one. I always, whenever I do talks and stuff, I tell people that there are two careers I don't want someone to be really creative in. And one of them is an accountant, and the other one's a
Yeah,
doctor.
yeah, that's
Uh,
exactly.
but I want to be creative enough that if there is a problem, they can solve it. But I
Right.
don't want them to be so creative that they're creating a problem that then
Yeah.
has to be solved. Uh, and so,
That's exactly right.
yeah. And so I'm sure she's creative in her own way, but
Yeah.
I don't want someone going, well, let's see what happens if we make your money, instead of being money, let's call it this for the day and
Yeah.
move it or play with it that way. things of that sort. So um, now I know you said you're in Montreal, right? So
Right.
are you?
Right next to the other person that you interviewed a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Monica.
Monica, right. I'm supposed to go and we're supposed to go out and explore her area because she hasn't really explored her immediate environment. My favorite cafe is up by her house. And so we're supposed to go.
Do you know her then? Like,
Yep, yep.
is she part of like? Is there a illustrator collective there of some sort that you guys are?
Um, yeah, well, actually, we have different possibilities, but she's not part of, I don't know if she's part of SCBWI. We met at the Montreal Book Fair because she's published with Scholastic and so have I.
Mm,
And so we were at the same cocktail, pre-book fair cocktail thing.
gotcha.
Um, so we're socializing, but she knows other people I know. It's a small world here in Montreal, in the publishing world. Everybody seems to know everybody or somebody close to. Yeah. And we're always discovering new people because there's people hiding in the woods. It's crazy. There's like some really best-selling children's book creators that are out in the countryside and you never heard of them. I know of them, but you didn't realize they're right next door.
I don't know if you want to promote the idea. I think everybody already believes that there's a lot of Canadians hiding out in the woods, and then you're just. There's a couple things. I forget who was I talking with. Oh, I was talking with one of the Canadian publishers the other day, and because of uh, the chaos that is American politics right now,
Yeah.
I said sorry to them, and they said, "Hey, that's our thing." Uh,
Yeah, it is. We're
there's,
we're the ones that's our
yeah,
national characteristic. Yeah.
yeah. There's a bunch of like uh, I forget not stereotypes, but things that like I always
Well,
think of.
yeah.
Canadians. There's certain words, there's certain like the sorry thing or being very polite
Yeah.
and those things, and but being out in the woods is one of them. And so I don't want you to oversell it too much. Now, so you're bilingual, I assume, because of being.
Yes. Yeah, my wife is 100% French Canadian. I am born of immigrant parents. My father was Chinese, my mother was Austrian. My grandchildren are pretty much French Canadian. They go to French schools. My workplace has been, I was working at La Presse, which is French,
Ben.
most of my career. So I didn't work very much in the English language. Actually, I'm working now in kids' book is the most I've worked in an English language in my whole life. So
Is it something that you knew? Like, have you lived in Montreal for a majority of your?
yes, I was born here. I was born actually not very far from where I'm living now.
Ah,
So yeah, I've basically been here all my life. Yeah.
as when I was talking with Monica, I don't know if you watched that episode, but
Yes, I did watch the first part.
yeah, I told her how my wife and I went up to the um, Ontario,
Oh
uh,
yeah, yeah.
and it made
Go
us.
across the bridge, huh?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
crossed the bridge, and it was. I remember like the only thing that we understood was there was a music video playing on in the restaurant that was in English,
yeah,
and the people were nice and spoke English for us at the
yeah.
restaurant. But it did confuse us for a little bit when we walked in that door. It's like,
But it's interesting. There's such a cultural divide just because of a bridge. You
mm-hmm.
cross the bridge, you're moving from one province to the other, and suddenly you're in a foreign. You feel
Is
like you're in a different country.
so that's not just us that were surprised by.
No, no, no. Listen, in Montreal, historically, Montreal has been divided in half. There's a St. Lawrence Boulevard that cuts Montreal in half, and on the east side was always French Canadian. On the west side is English Canadian. The two cultures live parallel lives. They don't intermix that much. So when I was younger, I was part of the English Canadian community. I had no contact with any French Canadians. My parents never spoke French. However, we were surrounded by French Canadians. So it's like, okay. I worked for a English newspaper at the beginning.
Yeah.
When I got hired by a French newspaper, I suddenly had to learn a whole new culture. I had to learn who the French Canadian singers were, who the French Canadian politicians were,
Interesting.
who the French Canadian sports stars were, because when I was working for the Gazette in the English side, didn't need to know. We knew who the American stars were. That was, but now I don't even know who the English Canadian stars are. There's people coming out of word from Toronto, from Vancouver. Don't know them, nope. But I know all the French Canadians, so it is like two different. We were always say it was two different identities, two different worlds. They haven't mixed a whole lot.
That's weird because it just like I mean obviously like I'm not in that area, but I just never would have assumed there was that much of a divide
Yeah.
that happened. What do you know what the name of that bridge is that I'm talking about, or are there multiple bridges?
Well, um,
There has to be.
actually, I don't know, but I know that Monica said it was Gatineau Bridge. Um, we'd have to check on you'd have to check on Google Maps. But yeah, I don't think there's one bridge that passes by the Parliament buildings, which is the one I'm guessing that you took.
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to think like because we did go see the Parliament that was there, like go building and whatnot, and
Yeah.
um, it was a lovely, lovely city, and would like to go back there again at some point. But um,
I'd actually say you should come to Montreal,
yeah,
and then you can go see Quebec City. Quebec City is the most European city we have.
that's what Annika said the same thing. Like Montreal is the
Yeah.
place to go, but it's only if they'll speak English to us because we don't know.
Oh no, but there's they will speak English. Yeah. You're not out in the woods here. In Montreal, no, Montreal's multicultural.
That's
Um,
I did try to learn French a little bit for when I went over to Paris, but it's all gone at this point. So
yeah. No, you don't need French to get around.
yeah,
You'll be okay.
yeah, I need people to understand when I say the wrong word that I'm not insulting them. Uh, so with obviously since you're up there, um, there is such a big market that's in New York for kidlit and things of the sort, and I'm
Yeah,
wondering, um, like obviously you mentioned the pay is not the same
right.
all located, but I'm wondering how much you try to get out to places like New York, or is there a big enough art market outside of pay that Montreal, like I know
Yeah.
Ottawa
Okay.
Art Museum, there's art there, but I just sort of the expanse. Is there enough for you to sort of go around and get what you need out of the arts there, or do you need to come down to New York or
Oh
to
yeah.
for those places?
No. There's plenty of. Montreal is like the cultural hub and Toronto, cultural hubs of the country, and we have lots of stuff going on. So yeah, we don't necessarily have to go out. And the French Canadian culture is in of itself a different culture. So there's a different. So there's lots of stuff going on in all terms, on TV and the restaurants and the museums. It's um, and in the children's kids book world, the one reason I'm working, despite the money question, it's a lot of fun working in the French Canadian market because they let you do what you want. And the creativity is different. Whereas in the States, you're heavily art directed generally. My experience has been that way and what
Yeah,
I've heard. But much less so in Montreal, maybe because they're not paying, literally not paying anything. So they let you have a lot of space, creative space. In Europe, I expect it's different. The French do a lot of creative books, so they don't pay either.
that's
Um,
what I've heard is the Europe market in particular, that there's a lot of like the illustrator does a lot of the art without a ton of supervision.
right, that
A
would
lot,
be what I understand too.
yeah, a lot of play, and I think that leads to a lot of like interesting approaches that
Yep,
make it as formulaic of
yep,
sorts. And obviously, like there's a reason why the U.S. market is big and why some of that formula probably pays off in the end. But I do like the idea that like you get to have a little bit more free. Be cool if it paid better though. I will tell you that. That's I mean, with the books that you work on, are you doing a lot of the design work too, or do they have a designer that is doing all the like type layout and things of the sort?
Um, every publisher has their designer, if not art director. However, I do propose fonts and a look, a layout. I do a lot of my layouts with the characters. Like here, I don't know if you can see this one with the rubber ducky story here, which is a conversation. I'm like most illustrators, I'll do the layouts and I'll do the type placement, and I'll suggest a font. I don't impose a font, but I just kind of give them a font that gives a flavor of what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And sometimes they will come back with their own decorative fonts. Um,
It's
like in this one, the art director came with this typeface, which is what not, I wouldn't have chosen that myself, but it was, I did choose the sans serif here. I like using that, which is either a Gil Sans or a Futura. So I'm partial to that. So in
yep.
contrast, the art director said, oh, well, let's use something rough and serif to distinguish. And it works out pretty good.
Gil Sans is my my go-to for a lot of paperwork.
Yeah,
It's a lovely font.
yeah.
Well, one of the reasons why I asked you about sort of doing the design work is one of the folks that I've mentored at one point was saying that they had a book deal in Europe and they were being asked to do everything, including
Okay, that's not the same thing, no. That's
colors.
like, yeah, oh, you're not being paid for that. That's extra work.
No, I had someone that was asking me about sort of like how much they should be paid for a book over there. I'm like, well, what are you doing? Because if you're doing all that work, you need to be paid for it.
Yes,
You can't be
yeah.
forced to do all the color separation and
No, no,
you know,
all the pre-production work?
yeah,
No.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
no, no, no. I don't know. Like I said, I like doing the design work comes naturally because you have to place the characters in situations, stuff like that. And I suggest typefaces.
Yeah,
But I'm not doing the final art per se. I mean, I'm sending in my art boards, but the art director will do the in-design thing and the pre-production work.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I
That's
uh
their,
I need to get actually more hands-on, I think, with some of the stuff like type and things. Like I have opinions about it all the time and
yeah.
yet say stuff, and I probably should jump a little bit more at that and say, okay, here's my thoughts. But I have had this issue, and I don't know if it pertains to a lot of illustrators out there, but I used to like to do hand lettering, or I still like doing
Oh,
hand lettering.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
But the the last book I worked on was the first one where I wasn't going to have to hand letter the cover and do all the the type work for it. And I was so excited that someone else was going to take care of that for me. And then they wrote me like 2 weeks before signing off on everything and said, "Hey, can you do hand lettering for the cover?" And it didn't take two, but I was so excited to not have to do it for once. And then I was
Okay.
like, "Yep, back on my plate. Here we go." Uh, and it probably is better for it, admittedly,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it was one of those things where it's like, man, I almost got away with having someone like pick a font and just go with that.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, when you're doing the letters and stuff in the Chickaboom and stuff like that, you said that there's the letters are chosen. Does that when you say that, do you mean the fonts and all that? What do you like?
Yeah, well, yeah, the fonts have been predetermined. That's part of the brand.
Yeah,
The characters that are the little letters, they are also part of the brand. They have specific colors and shapes. So I'm using the same letters from book to book.
okay.
Whereas in the old days, the original artist, Lois Ehlert, would hand cut every letter for every page for every book. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
And obviously she wasn't paid a whole lot for that, but she was yeah, she was really dedicated. But at that time, that was what it was. She actually, I heard, really was against computer digital stuff.
I mean, my first book, I hand lettered the entire book, and or not my first book, I guess my first authored book, I hand lettered the entire book, and
Yeah,
every letter was different,
yeah.
and it didn't need to be. I was dumb, but I did it anyways.
Well, I mean, it's a choice,
Yeah,
and it's a valid choice. That's not a bad thing.
yeah. You say that, but you weren't the one at the end of the day with a painful wrist and
I
uh,
know.
feeling it.
Yeah.
by the
You're
end of
right. One, you do have to take care of yourself. That's why I guess I see a lot of colleagues. I see it on the chat rooms and stuff that a lot of them are having sore backs, sore
oh
arms.
yes.
They're looking for good chairs. I mean, I'm lucky I don't have that kind of issue. I just don't have to work 8 hours in line. I just do the time I have to. I do a couple hours and I do something else.
Yeah, that's I feel the pain of those folks because I have that like
Yeah,
this chair, and I've spent so many years like not sitting looking up at a screen, but looking over something like I am here, and I will notice it the next day. It will
yeah,
it'll be down. So you mentioned that you like to read, and you have a picture book collection.
yeah.
Uh, I'm wondering how big a collection? What are the like? What do you add to your collection, or
Okay.
are you still adding to it at this point?
Oh, definitely. What happens is I have a predetermined shelf space. So I haven't physically counted them. I'm guessing around a couple of hundred books, maybe 150 books at yeah, a couple hundred books all over the apartment. Um, and what I have to do now is when I buy a new book, an old one has to go out. And
Ah,
then I have to take one out. So, but
how do you?
I'm constantly buying new books. I'm waiting for delivery of at least three, and I bought two yesterday. Um, and my purchases are based on what I'm interested, if I'm doing it for research, if the subject is similar to the subject I'm writing about, or if it's a hot of metal winner of some sorts, I want it, or if the illustrations I really love the illustration, I want to, some books are keepers. Some books I really don't like the illustrations, but the story is so good. I want to see how that's done. Others are, yeah. Um, I tend to buy whatever is hot right now. Like I said, the metal winners of Caldecott and so forth.
So you bought wait, what was the latest Caldecott? It was
It's the fireworks.
yeah.
So
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
That's the one. We got that
yeah.
sitting somewhere. Um, I'm gonna tell you a very sad tale, but also a tale for anybody that loves kidlit. Um,
Okay.
and I, for the last 4 weekends, and are going to do it again, I believe this weekend, have been going to library book sales where they get rid of like withdrawn books and things that
Yeah.
are no longer in circulation and whatnot.
Right.
And we have found tons of amazing books, stuff that we've wanted, stuff that we like that. Like I said, the Paul Rand book, but also stuff that friends books and whatnot. And we're buying them on the cheap, but
Sure.
I'm saying that just to make sure that everybody understands that we're not crazy. But I totaled them up the other day, and I think in the last 4 weeks we have bought 85 books. Which, and that's a small collection of what we have. I mean,
Well,
yes, we
so
got
you have a big house.
yeah, must have upwards of like 800 to 1,000 books at this point.
Oh my God. Okay.
But we're not the types, and this is, you said that you would get, you throw them out, or not throw them out, but you get rid of some. I hope
Recycle them. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just in the trash it goes.
No, no, not in the trash. No.
But like,
um,
I don't know how people do that, and that's part of the problem of why we have so many books. Is I don't know how to get rid of them because I don't read,
oh, okay. Yeah.
but I feel guilty. I mean, I feel guilty buying library copies because they're not brand new copies, and I feel like I'm shortchanging people in the process. But how do you? I
Yeah.
mean, when you get rid of them, or you dispose of
Okay.
them, when you
Yeah.
put them in the trash pile. Uh, is it books that you've you know that you just had for a long time, or is there like a specific?
Yeah. No, yeah, it's, first of all, you have to understand here in Montreal, or where I'm at least, there's no English bookstores, or there's one, but it's far away.
Yep.
Um, there's no English library, so it's not possible for me to go to library. The French libraries will have a small selection of English books, but they won't have the latest books.
Mm.
So I end up buying stuff full for the English books. I buy them online from different sources, and sometimes I buy them from. Sometimes I buy older books that are out of print also online, but from Toronto. And I do buy the French books at my local independent store that I support. But they also give me a good discount.
Yeah, yeah.
As a book creator, I'm part of the Writers Union, so I get a discount there too. So the way I get rid of books is that books that no longer serve me in either for research or no longer interest me in terms of subject matter or the quality of, or the illustration. So, but it's getting harder and harder to put books up because I'm starting to like more and more of the books that I have.
Yeah.
And when I do get rid of them, I put them mostly in the these little libraries that they have on each.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you call those things? They're these
little libraries here.
Okay, yeah. There's a number of them around here, and that I can just give them. I put the books there, and they disappear. There's enough people that are interested in English language books. I put them at there's a little thing like that at the daycare center where my grandchild 3-year-old goes to. They disappear. There's parents that will take them. So there's really no loss. They're recycled. They find new owners.
Yeah, so you don't feel as guilty.
No.
Yeah.
No, actually, I feel like we're promoting, because we're in you have to understand here, English is a minority culture.
Yeah.
We're in a language minority. So when we can promote it, it's a good thing.
Yep. No, that makes sense. It's one of those, it's just one of those things where I have not been able to figure out one. There's probably a couple books in that stack that I need to hone out that are, things that have been gifted to us that are not our aesthetic or our approach or what have you. But we'll get there eventually. We'll get it down to a smaller thing. Part of it is I think we're saving until my son has kids, and then he has a huge collection of books to share with his kids and whatnot. But that's not today or tomorrow. That's years out. So it's probably not.
I understand that. My son-in-law has kept some of his books from his childhood, but when I looked at those books that he's kept, they're no longer relevant to his children.
Yeah, they're dated or
you can feel that. There's all sorts of things that are kind of outdated. Obviously, the classics are still good. Morris Sendak is still good. Where Wild Things are still very interesting. But I
forgot to. My wife's listening upstairs, so this will be news to her too. But I got by the gallery person at school that they're going to have a show in the fall of Maurice Sendak's. It's his work and 3 of his mentees.
Okay.
Like their figure work that they did, and then illustrations to show how they sort of connect. But it's going to be very exciting because there's going to be some Maurice Sendak stuff that comes to school.
Yeah. Wow. That's very cool.
What is do you have a art museum in the area that's your go-to, or is there especially is there a illustrators sort of museum, or is it?
Not really. There's illustrator galleries that are run by illustrators themselves.
Yeah.
We have a top-notch illustrator, Isabelle Arsenault. She's
heard of her.
Yeah, she's really. She opened up in the countryside an art gallery for illustrators and a residency for illustrators who want a residency for illustrators in general.
Wait, what's the? Is that
the name?
Yeah.
If you look, she's on Instagram. The name of the place is Leporello, like the book. When you the fold-up book, I can write it right here.
Yeah.
Leporello. I think that's the way it's written. Yeah. So you can find it and you can see the space. It's brand new in an old house, and her husband is running the publishing company called La Pastèque. And La Pastèque has been recognized around the world also for the quality of its books as an independent publisher.
Yeah, I met her ages and well, not ages and ages ago, quite a few years back. Let's say
Yeah, yeah.
pandemic, but probably right after. She was
Oh,
lovely
okay.
and a pleasure to meet. But I asked her if she wanted to be on the show, but she was very shy, and
Oh, she
so
was she? Oh, that's
and
interesting. Yeah, she is. She's very low key, but
yeah,
she's very busy with her residency. I'll check on that. I talked with her in Bologna. She was busy in Bologna too. Um, yeah,
I can imagine when you are that big of a name that yeah, you can be a little busy. You're allowed
yeah,
every once in a while. Um, she is
yeah,
she's great. She's one of those people where like every book that she makes, I'm just like,
yeah,
that's a winner. She
yeah,
did it again.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That's right. I think I got a lot of her books myself. Yeah.
is there? I know that Sasek was one of those ones that you said that you that
Oh, yeah. That was at the very beginning when I was a kid, right?
yeah.
And I still have them. Yeah.
Are there artists today that you're like, oh, this is the
Yeah.
artist?
There's so many. I mean, I like Chris Houghton.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I can see it.
He's very graphic. He turned his his limit, and this is the book he has in French called Pas de panique, petit crabe. Don't panic, little crab, I think. Yeah, and the one that's called George. I love his books. He turned limitations into an advantage, and he's developed his own vocabulary using graphics. Um, it was something about, I don't know what technique he was using, but it was very limited. And he couldn't draw, and then he had to do this, and then that just became his style.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, so that's very interesting. I do like John Klassen. He's Canadian to begin with.
I didn't know.
Do you, yeah, John Klassen is Canadian. He was trained in Toronto, just out of sight of Toronto, Sheridan College, and he won the big $500,000 prize this year at Bologna, the
Uh,
Astrid Lindgren Award. So he's
yeah.
an international first Canadian that's won that award.
I feel like he. That seems odd to me because I would have figured he would have won every award by now already.
Well, I mean, he's so young to win that is a lifetime achievement award,
Yeah.
but he's still, I don't know what, he's in his 40s. I mean, he's
Uh.
already,
Yeah. I think he's
he,
early, if I remember correctly.
yeah. So he's where, at that point where normally you'd be a 70-year-old would be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Um,
yeah, he's done some things.
yeah.
He's made a book or two. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Oliver Jeffers is a good one too.
Yep. Yep.
Christian Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the more well-known names, but there's a lot of people um, that are not as well known, but I like their work too. Um, Collage artists. There's an Australian architect that does fun collage. I really like her books. So, it's all over the place, really.
Yeah.
Let me see. Do I have her place? Oh, yeah. Yeah, her name is Antonia Pesenti.
I don't
And
know that.
she does this kind. No, I mean, she's like done maybe 10 books, but she's got a real neat collage. And she's an architect, so she brings an architect's eye to her compositions.
Oh, cool. Look
Yeah,
around that.
I like, those things inspire me.
Um, are there, the one of the questions I asked, especially for someone who illustrates other people's work, are there authors or anybody in particular that you've been dying to work with?
Oh, well, I do like, yeah, I wouldn't mind working, but I work, there's Kyle McClear from Toronto. She's worked with, but what she writes probably doesn't fit with what I illustrate necessarily, but I mean, she's really, really great words. Um, Other than that, oh, another book that influenced me as a kid is Ezra Jack Keats.
Mm.
Um, the one, what's it called? One with,
Snowy Day?
yes, Snowy Day. That's it.
Classic.
Classic. Yeah.
There's that one, and the other one that we had, I think, was Red Chair, or I think it was called the Red Chair or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was what, Lauren? Peter's Chair. That's what it's called. Uh,
Peter's Chair. I
yeah.
have the compendium here. That's Keats' Neighborhood with 10 stories in it, 10 complete stories, which is kind of fun because
The
it's got 10 stories, but it doesn't. Yeah, Whistle for Willie. So there's collage in there too, and hand texture. But just this thing is already the red against the blue on the white snow, but the snow isn't white, and the buildings are not all. You can feel it. The buildings may be red brick or brown, but there are no windows, so it's highly graphic.
one of the things that I like about the Ezra Jack Keats and the folks that you're mentioning basically is that, like, again, the efficiency. Like Christian Robinson is a huge one for me, uh,
Right?
because it just, I mean, everything he touches I think is beautiful, but he
Yeah,
is who, like, can paint, but then also you see him just cut like the most perfect shape, and it's, the how little, I know there's a ton of effort going into it, but how it looks effortless
yeah.
does. And like, oh, it's so frustrating in a way too for me, because it's, I tell my students that I went to the Brandywine Museum, which is in I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's outside Philadelphia, and it's
Okay.
golden age illustrators like NC Wyeth and Howard Pyle and all them
Okay.
operated. And um, when I went into that museum the first time, I came out of it and someone asked me, I think it was my father-in-law or mother-in-law, asked me what I thought, and I told them that I hated it, and not because of it being bad artwork, but the artwork was so good that it made me feel small and insignificant. And Christian Robinson does that for me, where I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
everything is so perfect and whatnot, that I just like, how am I ever going to even come close to what he does long term? So
Well, I think you just have to keep going and keep evolving on your own. Um,
he's saying the same thing about me right now. I know he is. Why are you laughing at that? Why you're laughing like it's a joke? You're laughing like you don't believe that statement. Um, make you feel guilty on here.
yeah,
Uh,
I do feel good. I feel
yeah.
bad. All
No,
right. Yeah,
no.
and there's X Fang. That's
Oh,
I think you talked about her, or you
yeah,
must have interviewed her, right?
I have. Yeah, she lives north of here by about, I'm gonna guess, an hour, maybe hour and a half, something like that.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a more recent discovery. Um, I
Well, actually,
like her book.
industry.
It's the more recent discovery for me. But
Yeah.
I like the last one she came out with, Broken.
Yep. Yep. No,
Yeah,
that's really good. She, I mean, she was up for some awards and all sorts of stuff for that one. So,
yeah.
uh, she actually, I mentioned it on here that when she was on the night that she was on with us, she was working on a piece from that, and we didn't know, like, I didn't know what the project was of any sort. She didn't really explain it beyond sort of, here's the book, and it's about involves a cat and things of the sort. Um, but now that we know what it is, we can go back and watch and be like, oh, we saw that piece being made, and it's kind of fun to sort of reflect back on it.
Right.
With with the grandkids, are there books that they gravitate towards that you like? Do they have favorites at this point that you can pinpoint and go, that's the book they really love?
The 10-year-old does. Sorry, 10-year-old does. But he likes funny books, that laugh out loud books.
Yeah.
Um, quite a few, but I can't think of the title right now. And the younger 7-year-old one is discovered one by, we have an illustrator, Sid Sharp, and she does kind of creepy, dark stuff, but for kids, and it works out. Um,
What do you
and-
mean it works out? Like it's
yeah,
not
yeah, it works out in the sense that it really intrigues her. Her eyes are wide open. She's kind of scared. Um, but at the same time, it's great for, it's not out of her league. It's not like she's going to have bad dreams. And I thought this story was really well written and cartoon, comic book like.
yeah.
Mm, yeah. I have to tell you, it's bedtime for me. My wife has already turned off all the lights.
You're sitting dark? All right, let me
I'm sitting in the dark. Yeah.
get the paint off my brush here real quick and then I'll stop.
Okay.
But give me 1 second here and paint off of that brush.
Okay. And I'm going to
Switch my
push that
back.
back. There we go. All
Hey,
right. Thanks. Hey, listen, this was a really great conversation.
thank you.
You're doing a good job. And I heard that this was like your 4th year.
Yeah, you are, I think, I'm going to say 4 years and 4 people in. Let's put it that way.
All right. Okay.
You are
Well,
part of the collective, the hive.
okay.
But no, this has been wonderful. I'm glad that we got a chance to meet and to talk, and that I've been able to pick your brain about things. And I'm sure there's lots of loaded content for the people that watch tonight or that are going to tune in later. So this has been lovely.
Great. Say hello to Mrs.
Mrs.
Is it
Hawk.
Mrs.? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mrs. Yeah.
Some people thought it was Mr. Shoppy, but it's
Yeah.
that's
And
my,
if you ever come down our area, you're only 4 hours away. So
yeah. No,
look us up.
now that I know 2 people up in Montreal and they're relatively close to each other, then
Yeah.
yes, that needs to happen. So
Yeah. Yeah. And we do have a good kidlit community here.
okay.
There's probably more people. Yeah.
And if you're ever in the area, you give me a holler. We got a good kidlit community in Mass. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Cool.
That's down the road. So, but holler if you're ever in the area. And this has been lovely. And go get some sleep.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Turn on the lights to make your way to your bedroom.
Take care.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
There's an X there. You hit.
The excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Bye. Real quick before people tune out, next week we have on. Actually, this is a better one to do because it's the author illustrated. Hwan Yum is going to be joining us. I hope I said that right. I'm gonna have to double check that. But does amazing, beautiful work. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to flip without getting paint on things. But did stuff like Toto. Did a piece of home here. We got that one, and we got. Oh, I have the back of it. Mom, it's my first day of kindergarten. We have lots of wonderful books here that we'll be bringing up next week. I got one more little thing to finish here, and I'll show people in case they want to see where we're at with all these. These are going to be for sale. The Nucleus Portland does the show called Salute. That is a coaster show, and so they send out these little 4x4 coasters, and I forget what the price is. I want to say it's $80 for each one, something like that. It's cheap. Let's put it away. For the amount of hours put in, it's cheap. And you get all sorts of artists that have been asked to participate, and so I generally do a series. In this case, it's sort of I don't know, the color series. I don't know if this is even that. Yeah, I'm just making images. But they're all going to be for sale. They got to go to the gallery by the 21st, and I believe the show opens in June at some point. I'll get dates. It'll be on my Instagram and whatnot, so just keep an eye out for it because it will be there. But let me switch back down. I'm going to finish these off because I only have a little bit left. and we'll get going. So if you have questions, throw them in the comments. So I'm going to get a little bit closer because I can here. But so far we have a redux, what do you want to call it, of Miss Lily Lemon Legs from a piece I did before. So if people liked Miss Lily Lemon Legs, here's another version of it. I got a frog. That's a well-to-do frog. I got a spider with socks. I got a banana slug with a little umbrella. I got a cowboy snake, a tree snake. $72? Sure. There's $72. There you go. And then I'm going to have a little trucker hippo. No, what's that called? Rhinoceros. There we go. And so these are my sketches that I did for all of them. And so they've turned into these. And so each one of these will be, I did that one upside down. Yeah, there we go. These are going to be up for sale. I just got to finish this last one, which is primarily putting the hat on and then a little details around, but we'll get there. So if you are interested, just keep an eye out on Gallery, or man, I always want to call it Gallery Nucleus, but that's the one down in LA. Nucleus Portland, which is the sister gallery in Portland, Oregon. So I'm going to work on getting this final bit done on this, which is I want to get this hat in here. You get a little trucker's hat. And then I got to wrap up at a reasonable time because I need to go to sleep because I have panel reviews for, or what we call evals for the students at school, i.e. every student at the end of the semester has to present their work to a group of faculty. And the question is, do you put any varnish or protector on them? What would you recommend as a sealant? I am going to seal them. I use a matte finish spray. I do have like varnish and things of the sort, but some of the materials that I use are water soluble. And so if I start to brush them, they will become a mess. And so to avoid that, the spray, I can at least sort of mist it on top of it and it doesn't disturb those materials as much. And that way I get a sealed piece. The only reason why I would seal these primarily is just because of that water soluble stuff. Normally, I mean, this is acrylic wash that I'm using, so for the most part, it should be done. I shouldn't have to do a big heavy lift on it to get it waterproof. But because some of those pencils and things that I've used have been somewhat water soluble, I'm going to make sure that I seal them a little bit better before I send it off. So that'll be this weekend. I will spray them and get them finished. But a lot of the work that I do, I don't varnish of any sort because it would just sit behind glass. But because these are not going to sit behind glass of some sort, I need to go to the trouble of doing that. If that makes any sense. Hopefully that was not too long-winded, but it might have been. Oh, you know what? Someone else had teeth. Oh, it was let's get these in here. I meant to get these in here. The spider had 2 little teeth. There we go. 2 little teeth. I'm trying to see if anybody else had teeth. It was just a spider. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw and I'm going to get some hints of like crow's feet on the edges of those eyes. And then I need to do all the lattice work. Get my brush nice and good for this. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to put the hat in here like this. I'm going to go do, this is going to be a tiny little brush to do this. Let's see what we can do. This may be impossible to do with this size brush, but we'll try. It's not too bad. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's questions there, but hopefully this is on screen. I'm trying to keep it on screen as best I can. As I'm zoomed in, I'll do this. I'll turn it that way a little bit. Hopefully that gives us enough that you can see appropriately. Okay, now I need a tiny little bit of black into that to make that a little darker. I'm trying to get a, oof, that's too much. A little sense of dark right there. His hat's sort of facing the wrong way, but it's okay. No one will know. Probably no one will care except for me. I'm gonna make this a color. Let's get that a little brighter. There you go. Put a little color up there. So it feels a little bit like a logo. And then I need to do one other thing, which is I just need to slice this in some way, or like get something that, these all have a little hint of background of something in them, and it's a question of what should I do. Maybe it's a little picket fence down here. Maybe that's the way to do it. So if I take something like this and then I go, make it go up a little higher. Actually, you know what I should do is just do it like this. One brush stroke down. Boom. And clean it up. I have to do this a couple of times to get the white, bright white, but okay, let's see. So I'm gonna run a thing of white down the edge here. This is that, I don't know what you call it, a cross beam, something like that. And then get a lot more paint on my brush for these. I'm gonna get, I don't know if this makes it a picket fence. What does picket mean in that case? I don't know. So okay, let's make sure we get these nice and clean down here. Thank you, Miss Lauren. Miss Lauren, as Moray would say. Who's Moray, everybody? Moray is a sea turtle. What? Yeah. Moray was a sea turtle stuffed animal that we have that would say Miss Lauren. It didn't actually talk. That was just us saying that, but you know, same diff. There's only 2 stuffed animal names I can think of that were from that era, Lauren. And the other one starts with Red Rock Mini Golf. I don't know why that was the name, but that was the name. And Red Rock Mini Golf was a boxer dog. Like the breed. What? Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, the next sign that I looked at when we were driving, we saw a place that said like Red Rock Mini Golf or something along that lines, and that's how he got named. Okay, let me do a couple other little odd touches, and then I'll show you these again so everybody gets a sense of what they are. And then I need to title them too. So let me get, here, I'll do this because I think we're done. I think they're all done, which would be amazing. Let me get my brushes nice and clean here. Give me a second. I know this is off screen. You probably can't see this, but I'm just getting my brushes clean. You know what I will do on this one, though? I will do this. If I can get this to work, let's see. That needs to be this red, I think. A little hint of clouds. Leave it at that. Okay. So let me get these pencils up out of the way. One more here. And then I gotta go and I gotta do the outlines or the edges on these too. So let me get the edges on these before I forget. So if I do this, it doesn't have to be perfectly black all the way along, but rather than having a bunch of random paint colors that go around the edge. This also, if anybody wants a secret, this is the one that I messed up here on the coaster they sent me. And so this is on illustration board. I cut it to the same size. Hopefully no one will know. Except you. You get the behind the scenes to know that it's not an official coaster. There we go. Okay. One more to do. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, let's put that away. Brushes are all done. That can go away. Paints can go over here. Boom, 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 boom. These paints can go away. And then I will make a nice clean surface to show them all on. Just give me 1 second. And then it will be Betty Bye time for little old me. Okay, let's get that out of the way. That's out of the way. This is out of the way. This is out of the way. And then I have, let's make sure that's dry. I'm blowing on the edges. There we go. Okay, so I will get a nice clean surface for us to look at them on. I will do a fun little thing with them. There we go. Here's my black foam core. I'm going to set them up on this. One of them's a little bit darker than all the others. It's the one weird standout, honestly. But we'll get them all taken care of. Here, we'll do this. I'll put this one up here. I'll put that one there. We'll put this one here. Put that one there. And then we'll put this one. No, because then it's all pink, pink, pink. Let's see. If I do this one down here, and then I do that one like that. There we go. Okay. So let's get them on there. Ooh, look at that, everybody. So we got rhinoceros. We got tree snake. We got lemon legs. We got spider stalks. We got banana slug. And we got frog. The odd one out is the darkest one right now, which is this one. It's got the darkest background. I wish I kind of did more darker backgrounds on them, but now that I look at that, but it's okay, whatever. But I got more painterly and texturally with this because I can't do collage on this. That's the one thing they don't allow me to do. And so I got all these. And so each one will be up for sale at Nucleus Portland in about a month. And if you want one, you can go get it. And then I see some money from it, and that's cool. So if you like one, go get it. Other than that, that's it for the evening, everybody. You go have a wonderful evening. I'll see you back next week. Again, we have on Huan. I'm probably massacring that. Yum. And so I will try to find out exactly how to say it. I know how it's spelled, but I'm sure I'm massacring it. So we'll try to get that corrected. But other than that, y'all have a lovely week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.